All right. Howdy. How we doing? How we feeling? Welcome back to the show, my friends. It has been a minute, and boy, is it good to be back. Howdy. I'm Jimmy. Welcome to the show. This is the stream where we do some live auditions, some live voiceover work, some audiobook stuff, whatever we got on tap, we're going to take a look at. My name is Jimmy Moreland. I am a commercial voice actor. I am an audiobook narrator and sometimes a music producer. But what we do on the channel here tends to be pretty strictly focused on voiceover work and audiobook narration. And today we're going to be doing a little bit of those two things. We're going to be doing some real auditions that are on the pay-to-play voiceover casting websites. That'll be voices.com and voice123.com. We'll go ahead and take a look at acx.com. That is the Audiobook Creation Exchange, and take a look at any auditions that might be over there. We're not personally super interested in auditioning for audiobooks right now because I'm chock full of audiobook work. I'm in a very fortunate place to be as far as audiobook work goes. But we'll take a look and we'll talk through my thought process as far as that goes. For folks who swing by the stream, we'll probably stream for 2, maybe 3 hours. And a good chunk of that stream is not going to be actual auditions going on because, especially on the pay-to-play, the casting websites, it's just a deluge. It's a zoo. You're just seeing tons and tons of auditions coming your way, and the vast majority of them are not going to be right for you. And we'll get into the specifics of these websites, but let's take a look at what we're going to be seeing today first of all. So I'll go ahead and bring up the casting websites. Boy, that's bright. I just got flashbanged. Here's what we're going to be seeing. We have got voices.com right here. We have Voice123 right here. And here's the Audiobook Creation Exchange. And as far as how we're going to be working, we're going to be in Pro Tools. I'm trying to think if I have streamed since I upgraded my Pro Tools license. I'm not sure if I have, but we're in dark mode now, which is a great place to be. We love dark mode. So we're going to be working in Pro Tools. Everything I do today, you can do in any number of other digital audio workstations or DAWs. So if you're used to Reaper or Studio One or Twisted Wave, or even Audacity, you can do just about everything I'm doing today in one of those workstations. So, but this is what we're going to see. So, in fact, should we go ahead and do the side-by-side? Yeah, we'll go ahead and do the side-by-side setup. So let me hit our little macros here for that. Boom and boom. There's our side-by-side so that we can see our websites and we can see our scripts as we record. So we're going to start, as well as we always do, with voices.com. Now, the two big websites, Voices and Voice123. Same general vibe, and sometimes you'll see the same auditions show up in both places, but there's a big difference in how the two websites operate, more or less. And real quick, just as a note, I do have chat for both YouTube and Twitch up in my peripheral here. If I don't see it right away, hang tight. I will see it, but interacting with chat is a focus of the stream. So if you have questions about gear, about software, about the biz, as it were, I'll do my best to answer. I'm definitely better at answering the first two questions than I am at answering the biz question. I've only been doing this for a few years, so if you've got questions about SAG-AFTRA, I cannot answer those. I am not a member of the union. I'm just out here doing my best. But we're having fun. So that's that. Let's get back into the websites here. Voices.com tends to be, let's take a look here. We've got a Voice123 invitation in the inbox. Voices is more urgent. You got to be quick on Voices.com. The algorithm, the way it works on the client side of things versus the talent side of things, speed is the name of the game. And if you aren't sitting at your computer ready to receive that audition, hit record, read it, and deliver it within 5 to 10 minutes, boy, you're going to be so late to the game that you're going to get left in the dust by all of these other voice talent who are doing that. And if you think from the client side, if you get 100 responses, which we'll see, some of these this one has 89 responses. These are busy people, these casting people. They're busy. So they're not going to listen to 89 responses. They're going to listen to 5 or 10 or 20, however many it takes to get the first one that's like, yeah, this is the one. Or if they're a client of a client, they might listen until they get 3 that are good enough. And they're going to deliver those 3 to the end client to select. And then that's how that'll go. So basically a big part of what this first stage is going to be is me going through and saying no to the vast majority of these audition calls. Part of it is because we've been taking a little bit of time away from the traditional voiceover stuff because we've had so much audiobook work. We've had a lot of music work coming our way, and we've had voiceover work that's been coming in through the agency that obviously takes priority. Since the last stream, a little bit of personal news. I now have representation. So big shout out to our friends at Access Talent Group based in New York City. They've been killer to work with, and I'm absolutely thrilled to be working with them. But we're still out here freelancing in the zoo, as it were, on voices and voice 1, 2, 3. So let's do it. Let's get to work. And we're going to go ahead and maximize this just so we can scroll through and figure out here what we want. First of all, I'm going to be aggressive here. I'm going to do the check all to archive. Actually, you know what? All right. Because so many of these jobs are super stale, I'm just going to go ahead and look at this first one here that only has 10 responses. $75. That's a pretty, wow, that's a really low budget, especially given this word count. That's a lot of words to say for not a lot of money. Also consider that on voices.com, this number, this $75, that's not what you're going to get paid if you book this job. You're going to get paid 80% of this number because not only are we paying an annual fee to voices.com for the privilege of being able to see these auditions, we also pay 20% of every job that we book. So the $75, we're going to be paying 20% of that. So $15 of that. So we're only actually going to see $60, if my math is right. Someone please help me with that. So little bit of a bummer, the idea of only getting $60 to read 1,200 words. But this is the kind of job that, you know, I might typically be interested in if the pay was a little better. You know, yeah, interesting, whatever. But budget is so low that it's not really worth our time. So we're going to archive that. And I think we're probably going to archive all of these. We'll look at this. 46 is right on the cusp of like, man, is that way too much? Let's take a look at this script. Just take a look at it here. All right, what do we got? Today we're going to use the famously complex microchip supply chain. Why is there actually a space there, or is that just weird kerning? Okay. Supply chain to demonstrate the power of Neo4j. Is that Neo4j? Okay, yep. Of Neo4j Aura Graph Analytics. We can use data to answer enterprise questions such as, which suppliers are the most important? What would happen if key suppliers went out of business? And how would delays from one supplier affect delivery times? Let's take a look. Okay, so your standard sort of explainer video. We do a lot of these. It's good work to get if you can. And if this is the entire script, then a budget of $250 to $500 is not so bad. You know what? For the sake of the stream here, we're going to go ahead and do this audition. Already having 46 responses in, I'm not so excited about it. But again, for the sake of the stream, we're going to go ahead and do an audition so that no one can claim, well, that live voiceover audition guy never does any damn auditions. We're going to cough real quick. And we're back. Let's do it. Okay, we've got the script. Let's drop it over here on the side so that we can hit record and still see our script. Back it down a little bit. This is annoying, so we're gonna have to reformat this a little bit. Let's bump up the font size. so that we can actually read this. Now, we're not going to read this whole script. We're going to read until we have 50 seconds or so. So that might end up only being like one page of this 4-page now script now that we've changed the font size. So just important to note there. So let's turn on the loop back so that you can hear what's going on. I'm trying something new, and this is the point. I'll put a marker on here. This will be a point, or maybe someone can shout at me and tell me that it's absolutely not working. We're trying something new with an OBS. I'll even bring OBS over here on the screen. So with OBS, we're trying some new tech. In the loop back, so you may already hear it now. There's a little bit of a chorus effect, a little bit of a delay and echo. And I had the idea of going into filters. So not on my mic channel, but on the loop back, which is just lets you, the listener, hear the audio from Pro Tools, going into there and setting a sidechain compressor where the sidechain source is the microphone, so that while I'm talking, the audio from my voice causes the Pro Tools audio to be ducked pretty aggressively. I've got a 20-to-1 ratio, which is a very, very aggressive and quite a low threshold at negative 40 dB. So the idea is that the chorus or delay effect isn't so extreme. For anyone out there who's streaming and doing this kind of stuff and wants to figure that kind of stuff out, I just thought that might be interesting. But I'll review the stream later. I'll watch the VOD and I'll see if that's working. We'll find out. Without further ado, we're going to hit the record button and we're just going to read this thing. Today, we're going to use the famously complex microchip supply chain to demonstrate, maybe that's a little too much. A little too much on there. Today, we're going to use the famously complex microchip supply chain to demonstrate the power of Neo4j Aura graph analytics. It's quite a name. Today, we're going to use the famously complex microchip supply chain to demonstrate the power of Neo4j Aura graph analytics. We can use data. Let's see here, yeah? Neo4j Aura graph analytics. We can use data to answer. You'll notice I'm doing a punch and roll recording here. That'll make life easier in the edit. Neo4j Aura graph analytics. We can use data to answer enterprise questions such as which suppliers are the most important, what would happen if key suppliers went out of business, and how would delays from one supplier. Let's see here. Excuse me. It's because, all right, we got to briefly go big here and then resize that one window. Resize it to here first, then there, then there. Now our tab will work properly. So we'll pick it up there. If key suppliers went out of business, and how would delays from one key suppliers went out of business, and how would delays from one supplier affect from one supplier? Did ChatGPT write this script? If key suppliers went out of business, and how would delays from one supplier affect delivery? Affect. If suppliers went out of business, and how would delays from one supplier affect delivery times? Let's take a look. In our example, we have two types of nodes. Okay. Let's take a look. In our example, we have two types of nodes, suppliers and components. Components can feed into suppliers, which then output new components. Like any Python tool, we'd start by loading packages and setting up authentication. But let's skip that part. Packages and setting up authentication. But let's skip that part and get to the fun part, creating our first projection, so we can run algorithms. Get to the fun part, creating our first projection, so we can run algorithms and start asking some real questions. Am I going to keep going after that? No, I'm going to stop there. That'll put us at right about 50 seconds. For typical, your standard voiceover auditions, 50 to 60 seconds is perfectly, like, that's totally the standard for delivering auditions. For audiobooks, you'll deliver a bit more. For an e-learning project like this, like, you might deliver more, but this appears to be a very short e-learning project. We don't really know the scope. You'll notice that I didn't listen to any of what we just recorded. Here's the true test. There should be a pretty clear echo now, but it should be getting sidechain compressed by my voice. So that'll be interesting to see how that works out. We're going to call this, what are we calling this? Neo4j. Neo4j. This is going into the correct folder. Yes, yes, yes. All of that looks good. Bounce, bounce. Close the script. Reply to job. There we go. And we're going to do our standard quote there. Hello. Okay. Auditions. Neo4j. There we go. And send. Now, we did a lot of yapping and a lot of just futzing around, but as far as the, when we were focused and working, you'll notice pretty quick. Not a lot of messing around. That's 1, 2, 3. And that's how you got to be with voices.com in particular. Voices, speed, urgency, all of that is absolutely the name of the game. Now, the rest of these jobs, I have a feeling there are how many? How many are there? 40. We've been slacking a little bit. I have a feeling that every one of these other 40 we're probably going to archive because they're crusty. They're crusty at this point. This one maybe. There's 40 responses in. Okay. You know what? There are a couple. We'll look at a couple of these. Open that one in a new tab. Open this one in a new tab. We'll just really quickly scroll through. Only 26 responses. Only 4 responses. There's got to be a reason for that. 28 responses. Probably a reason for that. I'm just going by number of responses right now. If there are more than like 50, then it's not worth our time, especially now that we're into some jobs that are probably a few days old at least, because we've been taking our sweet time. I will really quickly call this out as love to see this badge right here, the worked together previously. So this person, this client, obviously we worked with them before, but if we submit an audition on their end as the client in their dashboard, whatever it looks like, next to our audition, they should see a similar type of badge. Hey, like, you've worked with this talent before. Like, obviously it was so great. Don't you want to work with them again? Unfortunately, they're already deciding. They've already had time to listen to some jobs, and so they're already deciding. But that's fine. Pretty low budget job, so not sure what's going on there. But let's look at these jobs that we've opened up in new tabs and decide if we actually want to do this. Narrating a powerful video that will play to begin a conference. Lots of these types of things. Like, welcome to the show. Really simple. You know what? God, there's only 40 responses. When was this posted? This was posted today. We'll go ahead and do this one. It's so quick. I'm not having to format a script or anything. So let's just hit record and just go. Any other spec type things? Serious narration with energy, but not overly happy. All right, we get it. Before comfort, there is coaching. Before mastery, there is mentorship. Before confidence, there is care. Before drop right here. Before confidence, there is care. Before transformation comes trust. How will I teach today? This is how we go further. Okay. Not really sure what the hell's going on there. And maybe that's reflected in my delivery. Oopsie doopsie. But whatever. For For these kinds of auditions, you assume that like, these clients are making decisions based on, do they like your voice or not? Not, is your read absolutely 100% perfect? So don't worry about getting the read absolutely 100% perfect. Conference intro number 5 billion. Apprenticeship intro. Sure. Don't get hung up on having a perfect read. That'll just make you take more time. You'll notice between deciding we were going to do it and hitting submit here was what? Maybe 2 minutes? I don't know. Someone can clip that, I guess. But from deciding we were going to do it to hitting send response, pretty damn quick. And like I say, that's how it has to be. You got to be that quick. Moving on here, we got 42 responses on this really low budget. Looking for 3 different people, 1 for each quote. So it looks like yada, yada, yada. Not interested. Moving on. Okay, this is an audiobook here. Just see here. Oh, food is here. Well, it's going to be a while before I'm going to eat. Let's see here. Okay, are we going to have to bring up the calculator? All right, we are. So let's see here. Let's briefly bring this off stream so I make sure that I'm not doxing myself when I bring up the calculator, because there's other things on the sheet. Here's the rate calculator. People have asked if I would share this. Maybe at some point I will, once I sort of sanitize it, if you will. So let's see here. Let's bring this here. I'm not going to do a full-on rant, which I will frequently do. But, all right, here's our audiobook rate calculator. Here's this audiobook job. The word count is 11,767. The budget, let's just give it the most. So it's, no, it says 249. But remember, this is voices.com. So whatever the number is, you got to multiply it by 0.8. So let's take the best possible scenario, equals 249 times 0.8, and guess what? We're back to $200. That means your end per finished hour rate is going to be $157. You say, Jimmy, $157 per hour? That sounds great. 1 hour of finished audio doesn't take 1 hour to produce. It can take between 3 to 10 hours to produce 1 finished hour of audio. Obviously, the more experienced you are, the faster you are. My ratio is actually under 3. But if you're just starting out, and if you're considering this kind of rate, you're definitely just starting out. If you're considering this kind of rate, the ratio you need to use is somewhere between 6 and 10. But let's be really generous and say that you're already experienced with your DAW, your digital audio workstation. You're already experienced with general voiceover, and you're just wanting to dip your toe into audiobook work. Well, so let's give you a ratio of 6 to 1. I think that's fair. Your dollar per hour earn, based on that 6 to 1 ratio and based on this per finished hour rate, this is best case scenario, mind you. This author, this rights holder, might be looking for something under. They might be expecting people to race to the bottom. So dollar per hour worked, $26 an hour. After tax, you're looking at like $21 an hour. Then you have to remember, this is important, there's a limit to how much work you can do with your voice every day. And that limit is different for different people, but there's definitely a cap. Not everybody can be a superhuman freak of nature like Scott Brick and read for 8 hours a day. I can read for 3 hours a day consistently. If I'm on a crazy deadline or if there's some kind of special crunch, I can do 4.5. I think the most I've ever done is 5. But I can't do that consistently. The next day, if I do 5 on one day, the next day I'm doing 0. So you have to keep in mind, well, Jimmy, $26 an hour before tax, where I live, that's a good living. Okay, but you can't work 40 hours a week. It's impossible. Your voice you'll fry your voice, and you'll be done within a week. So just keep that in mind. But based on just some guesstimates and things, I'm saying like your max weekly income for doing projects like this is $525 a month. I don't know where you live, but $525 a month is not a living wage. So jobs like this at this rate, like, nah. You might have to take a couple like this if you're just getting your career started. And, that's fine. Do what you have to. But that also means you're probably still have a day job or you're having to dip into savings until you start to get this number up. This is by no means the worst that I see. Honestly, this is not the worst thing that I see on voices.com. You see some real garbage. So you know what? This is not so bad. And if this is more like book 1 and 2 available now, doctors here's giant red flag for this. This seems to be implying that you're going to be reading the audiobook, but this is promo copy. I have a strong suspicion that this rights holder never intends to book you for the book. They want to get you reading the promo and then ghost you. They just want to steal your audio. I could be wrong. If you're one of these 26 voice talent out there and you book this and you publish it and it's available on Audible in 2 months, please message me, let me know. But I just have a strong suspicion that this is a scam. So obviously we're skipping it. Next, moving on. We've got another audiobook. This one looks to be a true turd. Okay, we're bringing the... here it is. Here's my calculator. Okay, we're bringing this back. This job has been reported. So we'll see here. Okay, total words. Let's widen this up a little bit so we can see everything. Total words, 155,000. Budget. Again, we're going to take the best case scenario, and that's equals 999 times 0.8. Per finished hour rate, $48 per finished hour. My friends, per hour that you work before tax is $7.99. After tax, you're looking at $6.55 an hour. $6.55. That's about what I was earning at my very, very, very first job at Subway Sandwiches in 2003. No, before that, 2001. I was 15 when I started working my first job. So it might have been 2000. 25 years ago, minimum wage is a better rate for basically unskilled labor as a sandwich artist. For very skilled labor in 2025, in the midst of a looming recession, perhaps depression, in the midst of historic inflation, this guy wants to pay you $6.55 an hour for some of the most skilled labor that a person can do from home. Like, I don't mean to be rude, but 100% go fuck yourself. Absolutely go fuck yourself. Brother. Oh my God. So we're not going to be doing this one. It's already been reported, so I can't report it as well. This is one of the more egregious things. They want it completed by June 1st. Like, imagine working for 7 weeks for $800. Oh my God. Wow. Okay. So we're not doing that one. Let's see here. We've got a blah, 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 little 15-second ad. Not a lot of responses. Interesting. I'm wondering why. I mean, yeah, the budget's low, but I would expect more than 28 responses for something that's been up for several days. It's strange. Like, I'm not seeing like anything that should really narrow down the talent. Very strange. Let's look at the copy. Maybe the copy is something that disqualifies people. Penn Foster, I can kickstart my education without jumping through hoops. I can enroll in time and start my lessons right away. Da, da, da. Like, this is something that we would do, except, well, they are looking for 40s. Why are they looking for someone in their 40s? I guess unless this is like specifically like an adult education program. Like, if it's for a school, don't you want someone in their late teens, early 20s? Whatever. Like, I don't tend to get hired for any of the education stuff just because I sound too old, I think. But they do specifically say male voice that sounds 40s. There's only 20 people. It's a crap budget, but we're doing it for the stream. It's for you guys. It's for the stream, baby. Let's go. Here's the copy, and here's Pro Tools. Whatever. Let's just hit record, and we'll see what happens, shall we? At Penn Foster, I can kickstart my education without jumping through hoops. I can enroll anytime and start my lessons right away. I can skip standardized testing and Let's go back there. And start my lessons right away. I can skip standardized testing and long applications. An online school that simplifies your journey so you can too. What does that mean? So that you also can, okay. What? Okay. I hope it's not an English program that they're offering. And start my lessons right away. I can skip right away. I can skip standardized testing and long applications. I actually like the way that I read it in this take, so we're going to start from there. Standardized testing and long applications. An online school that simplifies your journey so you can too. Get started today. All right. Despite not knowing what the hell they mean, man, I'm starting to get spoiled. So through my agency, the quality of the audition calls that I've been getting have been a little different versus what I like to call the zoo of these pay-to-play websites. It truly is a zoo out here. Okay, we're just going to call this Penn Foster. Penn Foster. There you go. It's truly a zoo. Like, brother, what is that? I know it's probably not a great look for me to. I'm not talking shit. I'm not denigrating the client. I'm calling for a higher, a greater attention to detail, a duty of care for the art. And it is an art. Like, copywriting, man, it's art. Like, there are great artists out there who are writing just killer copy. But then sometimes things. Okay, so we've gone through the entire queue. We've done a few auditions here, and we've complained about audiobook rates. So we're going to move on. We're going to archive all of these jobs that we've got in the queue here. Now, something important that if you're going to be doing this, something I really recommend, I'm now splitting my time between Google Chrome and Firefox because Chrome continues to make updates that ruin the user experience. For example, I do not use YouTube on Google Chrome anymore because they've basically killed the ad blocker. And so YouTube is an absolute nightmare disaster of an experience on Google Chrome, which is wild given that Google owns YouTube. And that's the worst place to experience YouTube now. So Firefox, more and more of my business is happening on Firefox and just more and more of my daily use. However, certain things, basically places that don't have ads, such as these two websites right here. We're just creating the ads here. Places that don't have ads, I'll still use Chrome. A lot of my workflow still involves the Chrome productivity suite, so Google Sheets, Docs, Drive, and so forth. One thing that is super useful is I also use Gmail. I've got this little checker widget. It's called Checker Plus for Gmail. That's what I use. I recommend getting some kind of widget or something that will give you both an audible ding and a visual notification or reminder that you've got an email waiting for you. Because when something from voices.com in particular comes in, I need to know about it right away. And if I, for some reason, miss it because I've got my earbud out or something, I need a visual reminder the next time I look over. Hey, I've got an email. Just really quick, I get a preview. Hey, was that or was that not a voices.com job? And if it was, I can look at it immediately and decide if I need to drop what I'm doing and audition for it. So there's Voices. Done. Let's take a look at Voice 123. We got 40 jobs here. We're going to really quickly run through these and figure out why or why not we might be passing on these. First one that's easy is, so the number of proposals. There are two numbers here. I'll zoom in for you. Two numbers here. This one says 0 out of 40. It's because this is a brand new job, so they haven't received any auditions yet. They're requesting 40 auditions. I'm not 100% sure how it works. Maybe they pay for a tranche of 40 auditions. I'm not sure how it works, but whatever. The client says, I want to hear 40. So if the first number is less than the second number, then we'll consider doing it. But if the first number is more than the second number, such as surely, down here, 69 out of 50, I'm not going to be number 70. I take this client at their word that they only want to hear 50. So that's the first reason that we're going to skip things. So let's just go ahead and go through it. And if we see anything where the first number is bigger than the second number, or it's damn close, like this one, 24 out of 25, we're going to skip those. 59 out of 50, we're skipping. 54 out of 50. Let's go to the next page. 23 out of 20. Man, is the traffic a lot lower right now on the old Voice 123? Would be a real shame. Would really hate to see it. All right, let's see here. 55 out of 50, 77 out of 50, 59. Okay, people got busy. Some of these are super, super old and crusty. Holy. Okay, so that's everything that's full. We're going to go ahead and get rid of that one too. So let's go back to one here. Next thing we're going to clear out is things that say, looking for a quote. So these jobs up here, their budget is fixed, $200. This budget is up to $450. Fixed $300, fixed $300. Love to see that. I have all the information I need as talent to know, is this audition worth my time? Looking for a quote. The problem with this is, on Voice 123, you live and die by the algorithm. And the algorithm is what decides how quickly it wants to show you an audition, how quickly it wants to give you the opportunity to get in early on a job. The better you are in the algorithm, the earlier you will be shown audition opportunities, and therefore the earlier you can audition, meaning you have a better chance of getting heard by clients and booked by clients. Clients can also see, well, maybe they can't. Maybe they can't see your talent ranking. I think maybe that's only a private thing. I'm top 20%, and I don't think clients can see that. But now everybody knows it. But even if people can't see it, like, the effect is felt because all the lower ranked people are going to see those auditions much, much, much later, which means if you're really low ranked, all you're going to see is the crap jobs that people who are higher ranked have passed on because the budget's crappy, or because the terms are crappy, or just because the copy or the whatever, they're just crappier jobs. They are. And in an ideal world, we would only be judged, by the way, what's the feedback? How does the algorithm know whether you're good or bad? And it's based on whether you're getting hired or not, and whether clients are giving your auditions a thumbs up or not. There are problems with that, but let's just say that's fine. The problem comes in when a client will not commit to giving us a stated budget. Because suddenly, whether I'm the best talent in the world or the worst talent in the world, suddenly there's this new non-talent related variable against that could cause me to not get hired because I guessed their budget wrong. And if my budget is way out of whack, they might not even give it's really good voice. Like, it would be perfect for the project, but their budget is double their quote's double what our budget is. So we're not even going to give it a thumbs up because they're not even in the running with that quote. So even though in this situation, even though my voice is perfect for this project, my quote was too high, and so I'm getting hurt in the algorithm because this client was a coward and wouldn't just give us their damn budget. They have a budget. They know what their budget is, but they think they're being, super clever, 3D chess playing, never split the difference reading. Nah, you're ruining the experience for everybody involved. You're doing yourself a disservice because talented voice actors are going like, oh, looking for a quote? You're not a serious client, so I'm going to skip you. So like, you're screwing yourself. You're screwing the talent who do submit and guess the number you have in your brain. Like, they don't pull off the magic trick correctly. And so you're limiting yourself to a less diverse talent pool. And you're screwing up the whole game. This is my single least favorite feature of Voice 123. If I could change one thing about Voice 123 or Voices.com, if I could change anything about any of the pay-to-plays, this one thing, I would force clients to pick a budget. At least give us a range. Look at this. Up to, I feel like this is new. I feel like this up to thing, I feel like that didn't used to exist. Like the up to, that's great. That gives us the opportunity to do a little bit of informed bidding. But this, now, to give this client the benefit of the doubt, maybe in the description it says, hey, we're doing, standard union rates. They're talking about option to extend usage. Will be used in linear and streaming TV. So this is going to have a huge budget. But it doesn't say so anywhere. It just says looking for a quote. So if there's going to be linear television, then you should probably just be going off of SAG rates just to be safe. And you can go to the GVAA voice guide or rate guide to find good standard rates. So this should have a big ass budget. But who knows? Maybe this client doesn't know what the hell they're doing. If they say they're looking for a quote, my initial reaction is that they don't know what the hell they're doing. That's just a really, really big red flag. And I'm just not interested in guessing the number that's in your head. Sorry. Let's take a look here. We got more looking for a quote. We got another one here. I don't care. I'm not going to look at your audition. I don't care. Looking for a quote. Nope. Looking for a quote. It's just a short story and audiobook. I bet you wouldn't like the quote that I gave you because I'm going to give you a real audiobook quote, not the crap you're probably looking for. Take that crap to ACX. Thank you. Okay. We're down to 20. We've cut our audition pool in half, my friends, and we haven't even done one yet. All right. Next reason I cut things out. Is this guy ever going to do an audition? We'll see here. Next reason I cut things out. Right here, it says custom audition. I'm having a hard time picturing a reason why you wouldn't want a custom audition. Even if you give us some fake dummy placeholder copy, giving custom copy is absolutely imperative to the success of your hiring experience as a client. Because if you're fine with just receiving demos, then you could get bamboozled. You could get a voice actor who went to a big fancy studio and paid thousands of dollars for some demo mill to crank out this beautiful sounding demo for them. And then they go back to their New York apartment that has a loud radiator and constant traffic noise. And they have a USB microphone and they're editing it in GarageBand and they're using their old ThinkPad. I know that the brands don't match up, but whatever. They're using their old MacBook that has a loud fan on it, and they've got a day job, so they can't really turn stuff around quickly anyway. The point is, it's important that the audition be custom, so that when you send them the real copy, it's realistic that within 24 hours, in most cases, within 24 hours, they can turn around audio at the same quality that you hear in the demo. But if someone has gone to a studio and had a demo produced, and that's what you hear, you probably won't get that same quality because suddenly they're like, oh shit, I have to turn this around in 24 hours. Well, oh, that studio is really far away and they're all booked up and oh no, I can't book anything. Cool. I guess I'll record it in my closet and it's going to sound like shit. And then that's what you're going to get. And you're back to square one trying to rehire talent. So not asking for a custom audition is another mega, mega red flag for me that shows that this buyer, this client is an amateur, and I don't want to work with amateurs. Let's keep looking here. Custom. Looks like they all say, oh, not this one. So we got two. Let's take a look here. No, semi-related samples. Sorry. Oh my God, look at this. Sorry. I'm sorry. Duration of usage. How long do you want to use this for? 999999999. Do you take this woman to having to hold until 9999999? I do. Oh my God. That might be the funniest amateur client thing I've ever seen. I'm sorry. And they've posted 14 jobs. They should know better, I guess. What they mean is in perpetuity, which generally speaking, you're not. You need to define this online whatever. Online in perpetuity is not a huge deal. It really isn't that big of a deal. But come on, brother. What I get that this person is probably, they probably tasked some low-level office worker, and I don't mean that in a derogatory way, but they probably tasked some junior-level office worker, hey, you're a millennial, you can do media stuff, right? Hire a voice talent. Your budget is $75. Oh my God. All right. Enough roasting that client. All right. Looks like we got the same thing going on here. Semi-related samples. That's a nope. They've got a budget, kind of. We've got improper use of the word hero. This person, okay. Okay. Maybe. Whoa! Purpose of recording. Character voice, film and TV, and phone system? That's some range. God, what is going on? Okay, and now let's real quickly and just... Okay. We are lost in the sauce, my friends. So we've gone through the things that are categorically, no, this is not really any thought involved. Eliminate that job from consideration. Now let's go through and just do a vibe check on some of these. Let's see here. First one, custom sauce video, 3 out of 40. That looks fine. AV product demo video, 27 out of 30. That might be fine. Religious poem for video, we're probably going to skip that. Voice talent, know thyself. If a job isn't right for you, then it isn't right for you. And especially on Voice 123, where again, you live and die by the algorithm. If you're not the right talent for something, for God's sake, skip it. You're doing no one a favor by like, oh, I can stretch my acting chops. Man, let me demonstrate my acting chops by, they're calling for someone with a native Boston accent. Let me show off my acting chops by doing my best Bill Burr impression. Don't do that. Like, trust the specs, respect the specs, and save yourself a lot of headache. So let's move on here. Major anniversary spot, male talent. Sure, we'll take a look at that. Presentation anniversary, fine, we'll look at that. Memorial Day sale, educational, Project RITS, Emir. We'll open this real quick. I doubt I am a fit for Emir. He's a Serbian hitman. I am not going to be doing a Balkan accent live on stream. Maybe when we get to reading an audiobook. We're going to do some audiobook narration later, but maybe then, but no, we're not going to. No. Okay. Project Curse, food merchant. Only 2 auditions. There must be something wrong with it, but we'll look at it. Okay. Project Curse has put up quite a few audition calls. They're trying to cast 5 talent, looks like. Project R, Basil. Looks like these are probably from the same... I would guess that these are from the same studio. English game role imitation. What does this mean? To imitate timbres for Japanese? This sounds like... I don't understand what the hell... I don't know what the hell this is talking about. I don't know if you're looking for someone who is going to be able to dub or... I don't know. And I don't want to figure it out live on stream. This one, I have a feeling I'm not going to be the right talent because... Oh, it is in English. Okay. It's just that the client obviously is French. Promotion d'un guide d'interrogation de salarié. I know my French accent's not great. So clearly this has been translated. Let's see how bad the script is. Adapted to all organizations, whatever their sector of activity, our company facilitates the integration of your new employees with a digital welcome book designed for a fluid and modern onboarding experience. Before they arrive, your new talents can access an interactive space to discover the company, its values, their future colleagues, and their first steps. No, we're not going to do that one. Okay. We're just going to email, and it's a voice 123. Okay. Love to see this kind of a budget. Let's take a look here. Financial services brand. So it looks like they are 2 years with option to extend. Okay. Broadcast and paid broadcast 2 years? Brother, 2 years broadcast for financial services? Oh. Okay. All right. Quick lesson on the economics of voiceover. People might think like, oh, it's a 30 to 40 second script and you're getting paid $2,000. That's why are you complaining about that? It's not the rate that you're getting for the work. It's the opportunity cost. That's what you're paying for when usage comes into play. Usage is you're being paid for opportunity cost. And what I mean by that, when broadcast comes into play, they just refer to it as conflict. So financial services is what this client is. Financial services. This means that if I do this job for 2 years, I can't do any other financial services voiceover work for broadcast in North America. So this is nationwide broadcast, 2 years. Can you imagine like the amount of work that you are potentially turning down from potentially much bigger clients with much bigger budgets? Huge. Wow. Like, I would expect this kind of like horse shit if I had seen In Perpetuity. Like, that's usually what you see, like, with like this, just the, like, what? But to see $2,000 for 2 years, and they're trying to, like, I'm sorry. It's like they've spent 15 minutes like reading up on like what usually goes in a voiceover contract, like renewal, agency fees, like we're going to put all this cool sounding stuff in our contract, and it's going to look so, it actually kind of does look like the kind of sides that I'll get from my agent. But $2,000 for financial services for 2 years. Brother. I just can't believe it. And the real shame is so many people on Voice 123 are going to see this $2,000 budget and they're going to submit for it. But like, again, this is a client that's shooting themselves in the foot. $2,000, like it seems like a big budget. And so they probably think like, oh, we're going to get the best of the best talent with this big budget. No, you're not. Because the best of the best talent on Voice 123, I'm not including myself in that number, by the way. We're talking the people who are in like the super, like the invite only tier of talent. I'm on the top, so I'm top 20% algorithmically, and I'm in the top public paid tier as far as annual membership. So I'm paying as much as I can possibly pay, and I'm top 20% talent. But the people who are in like that super mega winners circle, every single one of them is going to go, $2,000, that might be worth my time. 2 years broadcast? No. So this client who thinks that they're doing a cool thing and they're going to get the top client, they're absolutely not going to get the top client. And the fact that it's made its way to me, this budget has made its way to me at top 20% with 0 auditions on it so far, that's telling. That means I think it's only 50, or maybe I think it's 50 people in that like winner's circle. All 50 of those people passed. There's a reason. Because this usage is bullshit. This budget for this usage is bullshit. So, enough said. We're specifically going to decline and go usage disagreement. Like, I know there might be people who watch and go like, man, like $2,000 is $2,000. It's like, well, I get that. And, I have spent many, many years in my life in very, very tight times. There have been years of my life where I didn't have a fixed address, okay? You couldn't send me a letter. And so I get it. I understand the idea of $2,000 being this holy shit notion. But, oh man, you're leaving so much money on the table by just taking it's the marshmallow problem. Not problem, but the marshmallow experiment with little kids. It's a developmental switch that happens with young children where you put one marshmallow in front of the kid and you say, I'm going to leave the room and come back. If that marshmallow is still here, you can have 2 marshmallows. And if the child is young enough developmentally, the child cannot delay gratification. As soon as that person leaves, they'll eat the marshmallow. They can't in their head go wait, if I just wait just a minute, I'll get 2 marshmallows. They can't do that. And then developmentally, they grow and they learn delaying gratification for greater reward. And that's that thing. That's what this is, but for grown-ups with large sums of cash. Delay that gratification. Don't take that $2,000 marshmallow. It's a bullshit marshmallow. Because for 2 years, you won't be able to eat the bigger marshmallows that are out there. You know what I mean? Oh my God. Making sure we're still on uptime. Uptime is 1 hour and 5. Let's go. Dropped frames? How many dropped frames? 0. 4070 Ti. Holding strong. Okay, so that was garbage. Let's look at this one. Custom sauce video. What do we got? Yada yada. Goals. Custom sauce service? What does that mean? Usage in perpetuity. See this? Usage in perpetuity. Oh, scary, scary, scary. For social and digital. Totally standard nowadays. Yeah. Oh, that's good. Wow, there's a lot of sibilance in this opening line. Our custom sauce solution process starts. Okay. Are we actually talking about sauce? Like as in the edible? Are we talking about something different? It's unclear what we're talking about, but whatever. We're going to go ahead and let me swap this. There we go. So we'll go ahead and read this. Sure. Our custom sauce solution process starts with the discovery phase. In this step, we get to know you and your business. Next up is idea creation, when our corporate chef and R&D team collaborate with you to develop initial sauce concepts. This is when we test the concepts. This is when we test the concepts using third-party data analysis, which leads to identifying key insights for further development. Let's hear that. Key insights for further development. Now we're going to read it here. Using third-party data analysis, which leads to identifying key insights for further development. Now it's taste test time. We create prototypes for you to try and review. Next, we fine-tune the recipe to ensure it's an exceptional match for your goals. The big moment is here. It's time to launch your custom sauce and wow customers with an exclusive new offering. Nope, I'm going to keep going. Got more to read. With an exclusive new offering. Post-launch, we stay by your side and customers with an exclusive new offering. Post-launch, that's a strange customers with an exclusive new offering. Post-launch, we stay by your side to help gather in-market feedback. Okay. With an exclusive new offering. Post-launch, we stay by your side to help gather in-market feedback, evaluate performance, and adjust offerings as needed. That's fine. Don't want to get too precious there. There, I did one moment of punch and roll. I'll often do that if it's just like one little line, and especially if it's at the end of something. Once again, punch and roll is a lifesaver. I don't have to listen to this edit. I will listen to this one transition here. Feedback. Evaluate performance and adjust offerings as needed. That's fine. This little thing here is a little bit weird. But rather than re-record, we're just going to drop the volume on it. And adjust offerings as needed. Sounds fine to me. Except for maybe this one gets dropped by even a little more. Now everything gets our auto crossfades. And we're going to turn on this. Part of me wants to turn on the de-esser, but I think it's fine. We're going to call this custom sauce. All right, accept the invite. There we go. That all looks good. And there we go. Yep, top 20%. Oh, Jesus. Can we please go back? Oh, my God. Projects. God. Okay. Let's take a look at this one. It's a 27 out of 30. But maybe we do it. Yada, yada, yada. In perpetuity. So, duration of usage in perpetuity, I think they mean 999999999. This relates to this, audio usage for paid media. This implies your broadcast, radio, television. If it says no, then in perpetuity here is fine. Video to live on company's website and YouTube channel. Fine. You're never going to have any conflict problems there. Sure. Really wish we knew the client here, but often you won't know the client until you've signed something. Because there are, shall we say, there are certain self-driving vehicle companies that I would not read for. But for now, we're going to assume this is not one of them, and we're just going to do this. For years, closed course testing has played a key role. Let's get that better. For years, closed course testing has played a key role in ensuring. Wow, this opening sentence. Wow. For years, closed course testing has played a key role in ensuring vehicle safety for both human-driven and autonomous vehicles. Let's get that one. Played a key role in ensuring vehicle safety for both human-driven and autonomous vehicles. It's how the industry tests safety-critical scenarios in a controlled environment. But the practice has many limitations. Every scenario requires the time and resources. But the practice has many limitations. Every scenario requires the time. But the practice has many limitations. I don't like how I'm reading this. I think I'm doing too how it's made. Video recaps, then leads to a montage of city critical testing scenarios, a company's new tech. So it's more explanatory, but it's not full on how it's made. Let's try this again. For years, closed course testing has played a key role in ensuring vehicle safety for both human-driven and autonomous vehicles. It's how the industry tests safety-critical scenarios in a controlled environment. But the practice has many limitations. Every scenario requires the time and resources of a movie stunt. AVs need to be tested in rare situations that are realistic and precisely repeatable. time and resources of a movie stunt. AVs need to be tested in rare situations that are realistic and precisely repeatable. It's simply impossible with realistic and precisely repeatable. It's simply impossible with the current. It's simply impossible with the current. It's simply impossible with the current approach. Sure, why not? All right, let's go back here. Do this. And I think we've got punch and roll on everything except for the very last. We'd feel silly if we messed that up. But yeah, I think that's this, right? And precisely repeatable. It's simply sure. Precisely repeatable. It's simply impossible with the we're going to take, actually, we're going to be a little, this is usually something that you don't want to do, getting fussy with individual takes, but precisely repeatable. It's simply impossible with the current approach. Sure. Sometimes, though, you got to do what you got to do. AV product demo. Boom, boom. Accept invite. Boom, boom. This says up to, so we're going to tick that 450, the negotiable box. Like, why put the 450 there if you don't mean it? You know what I'm saying? You know what I'm saying? Bad UI, God. Major anniversary spot, male talent. Okay, Johns Hopkins, cool. Yeah, let's go for it. 150 years ago, who? 150 years ago, Johns Hopkins changed the jet. Oh, wait, it's a see here. All right. This isn't recruiting. But man, university stuff, I just don't get hired for. Man, it kills me, but we're going to... So this is the bummer of Voice 123, is that you're always thinking about the algorithm. And so you find yourself not doing things that you might actually be suited for. Like, I think I might be fine for that job, but I'm going to pass on it because it's a university, and just in the past, I've never been, not recently, it's been a long time, but I just don't tend to do well with the university stuff, and so I'm going to pass on it. It's kind of a bummer. Presentation anniversary. Is this the same thing? No, it's not. Presentation anniversary. What is this? 50 years of Montessori education in the Rio Grande Valley. I'm going to skip this one. I don't have kids. I don't know much about Montessori, so whatever. You're giving us example of previous VOs you liked. Why aren't you hiring them again? We're gonna skip on that for $100. No thanks. Educational. Well, it's true that electric vehicles do not need oil changes. They've got moving parts. Surely there's oil involved. Surely. Anyway, but yeah, simple e-learning. Sure. We'll do this one. While it's true that electric vehicles do not need oil changes, while it's true that electric vehicles do not need oil changes, they still require regular service and maintenance. There are more than 20 There are more than 20 inspection points, including things you would expect, like brakes. What? Require regular service and maintenance. There are more than 20 inspection points, including things you would expect, like tires, brakes, shocks, and fluid levels, and items that are EV-specific, like battery health. I need to hear that last word to see if there was a, I feel like there was a mouth noise that might have gotten in there. Let's take a listen. Specific, like battery health. That's fine. Cool. Only one cut. Love to see it. Bounce this out. EV inspection. Accept the invite. Here's the file. And submit. All right. Back to projects. Okay. Project Curse has 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 things. So we're going to check one or two of these to see if the project in general is something that we're interested in. So they've given us, excuse me. So they've given us some good specs, some good background. All right. Yeah, okay. So we'll quickly look at each of these. Food merchant. What's the character age? Sure. D party, slightly baritone. Speaks like a man. Habituated. I think that's habituated to yelling over busy markets and sizzling pans. Think Brian Blessed. If you don't know who Brian Blessed is, that was an excellent impression. Bring the home for sure. Oh, like, as fun as this might be, how many auditions? All right, they've only got 2, and it's been up since when? When did it go up? It doesn't say when it went up. Wait, does it really not say when it went up? It just says remaining. Oh, it went up 10 hours ago, only 1 day. Okay. You know what? We might do this. So we're not necessarily going to give him a British accent. Keith David with a theatrical. I don't know who some of these people are. I should know who Keith David is, I feel. I keep thinking Keith Richards. Okay. Amazing. Who is Louis? Lewis? Okay. What a strange spec. Holy. Okay. I'm thinking there's a specific video game character that is cracking me up that I'm thinking of. Greetings, traveler. Any innkeepers out there might know. Greetings, traveler. All right. Let's go ahead and do this. Why not? In the homes, for sure. But my Sulta. Wait, you'll ruin my dramatic pause. My Sulta is a dish fit for a god. Okay, did I clip there? Ooh, let's look. Did not clip. This, we will actually listen to. Sure. In the homes, for sure. But my Sulta. Wait, you'll ruin my dramatic pause. My Sulta is a dish fit for a god. You know what? I don't want to overcook it. I'm going to leave it. I'm going to just... I do think that my interpretation on my Salta, but my Salta, my Salta. Yeah, I'm interpreting this line wrong. I think there's an implied italics, underline, or bolding of my, but my Salta. My Salta. I think that's the interpretation there, so let's go ahead and do it again. In the homes, for sure. But my Salta. My Salta. Wait! 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 You'll ruin my dramatic pause. Wait! Wait! You'll ruin my dramatic pause. My Salta is a dish fit for a god. Okay. That, I think, is the way to interpret that. In the homes, for sure. But my Salta. My Salta. Wait. And then we're, oh, what? Right here? Wait. Wait. You'll ruin. Wait. You'll ruin my dramatic pause. My Salta is a dish fit for a god. Okay. We're just going to deliver that. Pretty happy with that. Turn you on. Bounce. Project. Curse. Food. Merchant. Accept invite. Click here. Part of the reason I'm doing this is because it just seemed like fun. Like, if you put Brian Blessed in the spec, I'm sold. If you don't know who Brian Blessed is, for God's sake, just find any clip of him like cursing or whatever. He's a like an opera singer, and he's like climbed Mount Everest, and he's done like all this crazy stuff, and he's done all this voiceover work. He's in Kingdom Come Deliverance 1, and I was really upset that he didn't return for the second one. But history is history, I suppose. I'm not in the mood for doing something like that. And this one's another, yeah, Man at the Fountain. My voice today, for some reason, I don't have the bottom end of my range. I actually like checked it against, I checked it against a guitar, and usually I'm all the way down to the down and below the low E on a guitar in my range, but today I'm barely down to like that F sharp G above that, which is like a difference of 4 or 5 semitones, which is like kind of crazy. We're not going to do this one. Project R. I assume this is going to be the same. I don't want to do it. Let's see here. Street artist and founder of a group called No White Walls Anymore. Is this a video game? Okay, it is a video game. We're going to skip this one. Authenticity in casting is, in my opinion, important. And, yeah, I think that it's best to leave that to someone who authentically represents that culture. Let's see here. And this one looks like... This one we don't have as good background. Like, we just get Professor, but we don't know how old he is. We don't know... Scatterbrained, confused. I don't know. That's what you love on stream. Is the streamer fucking yawning the whole way through it. Okay. That's voice 1, 2, 3's cue done. Now let's have some fun and look at ACX. This is the Audiobook Creation Exchange. This is where you go to find audiobook work, my friends. The stuff that you'll find on Voices and Voice 123 as far as audiobooks go, it's rare to see anything that has a decent budget on it. Usually you're going to find the crap that we found today. Stuff with either things that are just low and like below our current working range, or stuff that is like outright like insulting and should perhaps be like a labor violation with how low the wage is. But let's go ahead and hit refresh, see if anything new came in. And would you look at that? Something did. That's important, an important point. I see a lot of people in the Facebook groups. By the way, if you really are wanting to get into audiobook narration, either crossing over from voiceover, or if you're just coming at this totally fresh, recommend joining the audiobook narrators Facebook groups. Just search audiobook narrators on Facebook, and you'll find some good groups there. Use the search function if you've got questions. Someone has answered that question before. But there's lots of good stuff in those groups. But what I see a lot, especially recently, is a lot of people going like, oh, the death of ACX. There are no projects anymore on ACX. I'm seeing 569 here right now. Granted, I don't think we've got any filters applied. Oh, this is with royalty share. That's just with royalty share. 800 with male, gender, and everything but erotica selected on. So all non-erotica things that want a male narrator, there's 800 titles. So you can't tell me that there's no work on ACX. Granted, the vast majority of this is garbage. So let's start applying. So we've got our male checkbox in. We've got our genre checkbox in. I'm theoretically fine with reading most of the stuff. Some of this, like, really, like, am I going to really read a children's audiobook? Probably not, but I like to see what's out there, you know? So I just leave all that checked. I'm just not really interested in my voice reading erotica. Nah, that's not going to work. So the checkbox I usually have checked if I'm genuinely looking for work is this one right here, $200 to $400. And I am basically right in the middle of that range for new authors. I don't mind sharing this on the stream. Recurring authors right now, all of my recurring authors that book me over and over again are at $250 per finished hour. Now, out of that, I'm paying obviously taxes and stuff, but out of that, I'm also paying for proofing via Positron, and it works out to about $10 per finished hour of proofing. So I'm netting pre-tax $240 per finished hour from all of my current authors. New authors, if someone emails me tomorrow, say, hey, I want you to narrate something, my quote for them, depending on circumstances, is going to be between $280 and $300 per finished hour. That's just where I am in my career. My calendar is full. So if you want to find some space on my calendar, you're going to have to pay a little bit more. That's just how the business goes. But looking at this one, let's just really quickly take a look at these projects here. Again, I'm not actually looking closely. I'm not going to do any of these projects because I'm too damn busy. But let's pretend we were. Okay, Frantic, a psychological thriller. First of all, do judge books by their cover. If a book has just a garbage cover that looks AI generated, or it's incredibly simple, like, I don't want to fully judge, but looks like they took a stock image, they put a filter over it, and then they put Times New Roman in all caps. Like, not feeling too great about this, but we'll look at it. Maybe it's great. Maybe it's a legitimate project. This one seems like really, oh God, this one, It seems very much like I took a college course in Photoshop, but maybe it's great. I say the judge a book by its cover. It's more important for royalty share, and it's more important for weeding out scam or not real titles. There's a lot of just outright garbage on ACX, and so you'll develop your spidey sense for things that are like screwy or weird. But let's take a look at this. All right, frantic psychological thriller. What you're looking for is a decent project length, 10.7 hours. Great. Decent budget. Happy with it. Audition. About this title. This on a per finished hour rate project. This is what you want to see. You want to see information about the book that you as the narrator will find useful. Has approximately 6 main characters. There are a dozen that come and go. You must be able to have a slight Southern accent, slight Hispanic accent, and at times an Asian accent. You need to do male and female throughout. This is all great stuff. This is great to hear. Here's where you like really, maybe it's title, like full on a title summary, the blurb that might actually go on the Amazon listing. So this is looking like a very legitimate project right now. Let's look at the audition script, see if it's right. Brief main character sketches. Length is looking a bit long. This is going to run longer than 5 minutes for sure, unless this is all background. It is all background. So let's do the word count. Where is word count? Word count, word count. I'm looking at it and I can't see it. Tools. Word count. Words 967. That will put this at 10 minutes. This is too long for an audition. This is too long. Kudos to the author or rights holder for, putting in all this work. Like, it's very, very appreciated. But this is too long. So if I were auditioning for this, I would, rather than just doing one of these scenes in its entirety, what the author should be looking for, author, rights holder, what they should be looking for is, can you do these different voices? Can you switch between male and female? Can you switch between male and male talking to each other and have me understand who is who without resorting to some really crazy accent work? So what I would do is I would do 2.5 minutes of this, wherever that is. Obviously not stopping in the middle of a sentence or something crazy, but I'd do 2.5 minutes of this, and I'd jump down to scene 2 and do 2.5 minutes of this. Not going beyond 5 minutes. Again, you don't need all this. This rights holder does not need 10 minutes of you reading to make a decision whether to hire you or not. That's my only critique, really, of this audition posting. Otherwise, this author, rights holder, did everything right. And, you would hope, maybe if things go well enough that hey, this is first of a series and you could have a long, beautiful relationship together, who knows? So this is a legitimate title that if I weren't chock full of work, maybe I'd audition for that. Here's something to worry about. Here we go. Another Max Dent adventure. That implies that this is nice that I plan to pay $2.25 per finished hour, I would assume. It's nice that they put that, because I know for me, I'd be like, no, that's outside. I understand $200 to $400 per finished hour. That's a huge range on a project. So it's nice that they put the number there so that he's not wasting my time. He or she, they are not wasting my time. We've got a voices job that we will actually go ahead and look at right at this moment. So we're going to come over here and bring up voices, make sure I don't dox myself as we're doing it. We also got a voice 1, 2, 3 job. So let's look at the voices job first. Premium dash cam. Relatable luxury tone. Not too overly hyped or enthusiastic. Smooth and casual. Okay. We're not even going to pre-read the copy. We're just going to hit record. When good times call, the Client Elite 8 with category redefining AI ISP technology has your back, delivering full cover. ISP technology has your back, delivering full color video and smart noise reduction in both front and rear cameras, even in challenging low light. When play hard turns to work hard, the Elite 8's AI advanced 8 When play hard turns to work hard, the Elite 8's AI and When play hard turns to work hard, the Elite 8's AI enhanced HDR is a trusted partner, optimizing footage and capturing claim crucial details by balancing bright and dark areas. And when bun in the oven becomes baby on board, by balancing bright and dark areas. And when bun in the oven becomes baby on board, the Elite 8 is like a guardian angel. I feel like I read something wrong. I misinterpreted. I need to read this again. It happens. When good times call, the Client Elite 8 with category redefining AI ISP technology has your back, delivering full color video and smart noise reduction in both front and rear cameras, even in challenging low light. In both front and rear cameras, even in challenging low light. When play hard turns to work hard, the Elite 8's AI enhanced HDR. When play hard turns to work hard, the Elite 8's AI enhanced HDR is a trusted partner, optimizing footage and capturing claim crucial details by balancing bright and dark areas. And when bun in the oven becomes baby on board, the Elite 8 is like a guardian angel, doing everything possible to keep your world secure. Life takes you a lot of places. Life takes you a lot of places, and the new Client Elite 8 Dashcam provides you with the ultimate protection anywhere you go. Get yours at client.com. Get yours at client.com. Quickly do that. So obviously, Client is not actually the name of the brand. That's their way. Let's see. Listen to this. And rear cameras, even in challenging low. Okay. Shouldn't have to listen to any of these other things. Let's make that a little bigger to where I can see the waveform. Here we go. Shouldn't have to listen to anything else. There we go. Grab everything. Hit our auto crossfades. Save. Mouth declick on. Bounce. And we're calling this Elite 8. Sure. It's when you run the Elite 4 twice in a row. Okay, with directed session. And we're going to put 1090 on the quote there. Send response. Boom. So we were number 5 on that one, I think. Let's take a look here. We were among the first 10. When I clicked respond, it was at 4 responses, and now it's at 9. So that, my friends, that's how fast you got to be. You got to be quick on the draw. Let's go ahead and do this real quick. Let's take you, hide y'all. Let's duplicate you. There we go. Now we got more tracks to work with. Okay, so we can close that down. Let's go to voices. What do we got here? Looking for a quote. Probably going to skip this one, but let's take a look. In a whirlwind of betrayal and desperation, Shane's... So is this an audiobook? What is this? What the hell is this? This seems like it's either an audiobook or a promo. Brother, you're giving us the entire script? What are you doing? You're just giving us a promo. You're not telling us which character you want or whether it's the entire script. All right, this gets reported. Flag. We'll just keep it that simple. Like, get out of here. Garbage. Just garbage. Okay. Where were we? We're talking about this job here. And the thing that should give you pause about this job here. It says, another Max Dent MD adventure. Your question immediately should be, another Max Dent. Okay, so this isn't the first book. What happened to the narrator from the last book? What's going on there? So what you can do is go view this title on Amazon, and then you should be able to look at more things by this author. They haven't written anything else. Very strange to call your book another Max Dent MD adventure when you don't have... How strange. How strange. Like, I'm trying to determine, like, what the hell is going on with this? Why would you call it that? Is this book out yet? Hold on. Coming out in June. I mean, I don't know. We'll give them the benefit of the doubt. Say that's fine. But generally speaking, if you ever see, like, on ACX, book 2 or book anything but 1 of a series, your first thought should be, what the hell happened? Why aren't they bringing back the narrator from the prior book? Sometimes things happen, Maybe the narrator retired. Maybe scheduling conflicts grew to be too much, whatever it is. But your first thought should be like, okay, is there a problem with this client that made the narrator back out and go, I don't want to work with you again? Is there a problem? I don't know. You really got to consider that. Also consider on the back end that if you do take the job and it works great and everything, do not look at the reviews. Just don't look at them until you've done like 4 or 5 books in the series, because people hate change. Anytime that you take over a series from someone, whether it's on book 2 or on book 9, people are going to be pissed. They're going to be so pissed because you're going to do things differently. You're going to pronounce some ancillary character's name differently. You're going to do an accent differently. You're going to something. And even if none of that's different, just the fact that your voice is different is going to really piss some people off. And so you either need to avoid any viewing of reviews, or just generally having a thick skin super helps. I took over as quite a popular science fiction series on book 9 that had 2 other narrators. And boy, people were pissed. People were pissed. But now that I think I'm about to start my 5th or 6th book that I've narrated in the series, people are happy. Again, they've gotten used to how I'm... The author made it a point to say, this is your book series now. It's yours. Your interpretation is now the canon correct interpretation. To include, I pronounce the main character's name differently than how it was pronounced in the prior 8 books. I do that because I asked the author, how do you pronounce the main character's name? How do you want it pronounced? And he had a different answer than the 2 prior narrators. I'm not saying that either of them is wrong. I'm just saying I asked the author replied, and I went, then that's the one I'm going with, even if it's different. And boy, were people pissed about that. Because for 8 straight audiobooks, they'd heard it pronounced one way. And suddenly here comes Jimmy with a different pronunciation. And, but that's how she goes. It's my series now. Anyway, yeah. So this might be fine. This might be a fine audition. Knock yourself out. Go for it. Let's take a look if this is good or doo-doo. See, this is more, this here is more promo copy. This is not where promo copy goes. This is where promo and summary copy goes. This is where, like, this is the rights holder's opportunity to directly communicate with potential narrators. This is where you need to make notes about content warning, about, general requirements of the book, of even timeline. Like if you're like, hey, this is on a rush timeline, only submit an audition if you can get this book turned around within the next 5 weeks, something like that. That's what this is for, not for more promo copy. But this seems like it's probably fine. These all seem fine. Is this book number 1? I need to... Okay. Can I please have more pixels? Okay. Looks like it is book 1 of a series. If this kind of thing is your thing, knock yourself out, man. Or woman, or they, them. This is, if it's book 1 of a series, like, this is the kind of thing that could do really well. It's a good PFH rate, good length. This cover will attract the kind of readers it's trying to attract. Go nuts. Sure. These seem fine. Something you want to consider is the age of an audition posting. Obviously, so when we alt-tabbed over to here, I made a point of talking about how it's important that obviously for voiceover auditions on Voices and Voice 123, you got to be at your computer, ready when those auditions roll in, ready to look at the audition and decide if it's right for you. And if it is right, you need to be able to hit record right at that moment. Because if you can't, other people are going to beat you to the punch and you're going to lose that job because suddenly you're 50th in the audition queue for that client and they're never going to hear you. Can't book the job if they don't hear you. The same thing applies to audiobooks. It really, really does. It's not quite as intense of a time crunch simply by virtue of like these are longer auditions instead of them being, sometimes 10-second auditions to maybe a minute max. These are going to be 3 to 5 minute auditions max. That said, if you are really trying to make it as an audiobook narrator, you need to have, no matter what you're doing, you need to have a tab of ACX open and you need to refresh it at least hourly. Just whatever you're doing. If you're over here doing stuff here, if you're working on your website, if you're doing social media, come over here, hit refresh. Nothing new. Okay, come over here. You saw when I first refreshed this page, we got a new book in the queue. And I guarantee you, like, if we were hungry for audiobook work right now, we could have gone like, oh shit, got a new book in the queue, download the script, hit record, start reading, and we could have been among the first probably 5 people to audition for this. That virtually guarantees you're going to get heard, makes it much more likely that you're going to book the job. If you're checking ACX once a week, you're never going to book a job. You're never, ever, ever going to book a job. If you're checking it in the evening after your day job, you're going to have a really, really hard time at this. You really, really are. I know that's a bummer. I guess on your days off, those are your days where you're potentially going to catch some fish. Otherwise, if you're not first, you're last. You got to be among the first dozen or so people to submit an audition. Otherwise, you're never, ever, ever going to book. So on that note, this audition call was posted March 16th, 3 weeks ago. Don't audition for this. Don't do it. This book, there are other reasons not to, but this author has received probably 100 auditions. Your 101st audition is not going to be heard. Don't waste your time. Don't audition for this. The other reason not to audition for these two titles is this right here. Estimated length, 1.3 hours. That's not an audiobook. That's a brochure. Don't do it. That's an absolute waste of time. It doesn't look good in your portfolio. Generally speaking, the number changes, it seems, every year. But generally speaking, if you're going to start trying to move up in the audiobook biz and start working with like the bigger publishers, they want to see that you've got between 30, 40, 50 audiobooks under your belt. They want to know that you've been doing this for a while. You've got plenty of repeat clients that are happy. That's an indication that you do good work. You do timely work. You can meet deadline, all of this stuff. So if you tell a casting director or someone like that at your Blackstone, your Penguin, Simon Schuster, Podium, anywhere, if you tell someone, oh yeah, I've got 40 books that I've done, and they go, okay, this person's serious. They go and look at your portfolio and it's 40 of these at 1.3 hours. They're going to go, oh, that person misrepresented their experience. They're blacklisted. Like, maybe it's not that dramatic, but it kind of is. If you're misrepresenting, a body of work by claiming these brochures are full audiobooks, like, I'm sorry, they're not. Not to say that you can't do these at all, but don't count them. And maybe do them under a pseudonym so that if someone does look you up and they're like scrolling and scrolling and scrolling through these like pamphlets, these brochures, like, it's not going to be a good look. When you search my name, I'll do it over here. When you search my name on Audible, if I go Jimmy Moreland, let's see what shows up first. USS Resilience, book 11. Full length, 10 hours, 30 minutes. USS Ike, a book in the same series. 3-player game. Book 10 of another giant sci-fi series. Fate's Tempest, book 3 of another big sci-fi series. Here we go. Fresh Start, book 1 of what is like, I think at this point, a 4-book series. So like everything that you're seeing when you just look up my name on Audible, everything demonstrates a social proof of a kind. It demonstrates like, hey, like this person is working and this person keeps authors happy. If the author wasn't happy with the quality of the work that I produced, if they received nothing but negative feedback from their listeners, I bet if we went and found this USS series, that's the one that I took over from another narrator. I bet if we found the first one that I narrated, the ratings are probably much, 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 much lower than the overall 4.5. I'm actually just a 5-star performance is my average on USS Resilience. We've recovered, baby. We recovered. Stop the stream now. That feels good because the first book in this series that I narrated, the performance rating, I think it was like a 2. It was really bad because people were pissed. But moving on. All of this is to say your portfolio speaks for itself. So don't misrepresent what, like, your body of work, because people are going to check. And if the two don't match up, I have done my very, 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 very first project was a 2-hour project. And it was a great learning experience. I'm not saying that you can never do anything like this, especially at this rate. That first one that I did was a royalty share, and I guarantee you, I have not made my money back as far as the time spent goes. But it was a good learning experience, and from there, things got better. So, who wouldn't say no to, a couple $100 for work that you could knock out in a day? Some people would say no. But just be mindful of the effect that it's going to have in your portfolio. So here's another one. Under 3 hours. Again, maybe do this with a pseudonym or something. Looks like a little romance action. Fine. Those short romances, I know that those can have huge followings, and so maybe you have a pseudonym just for romances or something like that. That's very, very common, by the way. But yeah, just keep that in mind, my friends. We'll briefly look at the royalty share zoo. To just point out that absolute this is something to avoid. So this will be one. This will be one. Let's go ahead and make this 100 just so we can quickly scroll through and spot the obvious, don't do this. This is an obvious one. I want to see some of the ones that are, here we go. You see this all the time. Let's see here. This is an obvious one. Do we have any cookbooks or anything? Oh yeah, these, holy. These are basically the same. So we'll go through and just really quickly, oh my God. We also want to do a real quick, here we go. Okay, I think that's enough. This will get the point across. All right. So, especially when you're looking at royalty share, this is where you'll see a lot of these common pitfalls. As I said, judge a book by its cover. We've got this weird, what the hell is going on here? Looks like maybe it's AI. It's a little weird. It's just what's going on. But this format here, you'll see this exact format, this two-tone with just text slapped on it. I would avoid this. Not to say that this might be a real genuine project that's going to sell millions of copies and make you super rich. This should be obvious. AI art. If it's AI art, then how much do you want to bet that the text is also AI informed at the very, very least? Let's look at the audition script, shall we? Oh boy, we're going to get the full book. Here we go. Yeah, look at that AI. Cats don't have 4 beans or 5 beans. They've got 4 beans and then a dew claw. So, classic AI mistake. I'm going to mute so that I can. Because I'm polite. God, I've probably seen this exact. And what you'll see here, if you pay attention, is that each the cat, the kitty cat, it's not going to be the same exact. There are going to be differences from shot to shot. So let's see here. We've got a bandana with there's some texture on it maybe, but it's a red bandana. Still a red bandana, looking a little different here. The coloring on its, let's see here, yellow eyes. It's reasonably consistent. Wait a minute. Okay, so he's no apron. Simple small apron. Full-on chef's coat that doesn't seem to have a border for the sleeves. And how many? 1, 2, 3, 5, 6. And then what is this horrible monstrosity? Oh my God. All right, that's enough of this. This is AI slop. And if the imagery is AI slop, you can damn well bet that the text is going to be AI slop. Do you really want, when people scroll through, when they search for your name on Audible and they scroll through, do you really want them to see this slop? Can I report this title? I don't know what the content guidelines are. I know that AI text is against Amazon, Kindle, Audible terms of service. I know that like a book whole cloth out of AI text is against the terms of service. I don't know if something like this would qualify, so I'm not going to report it. It's fine. Whatever. Some poor sap is going to read this and they're going to make $0 ever because what parent is going to buy this AI slop? Here, same thing. This is AI slop. Like, obviously, Jesus, that's haunting. Wait, how many? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And there's a thumb back there. We've got a 6-fingered child. Classic AI. Oh my God. Fuck out of here with this slop. Like, all right. So obviously you don't want to do this. You don't want this crap in your portfolio. Here we go. This is probably the single most common template that you'll see for, I don't want to say low quality because, maybe this is great. But you see this particular color, this like yellow stripe border with the fonts. You see this constantly on the royalty share section of ACX, and just my recommendation is just move past them. Here's something to skip. Instruction, like low level instructional stuff, especially if it's super short. But even if it was like 4 hours, like how to protect your sleep in a digital world. How can you generate 16,000 words on that? I have a suspicion. I bet they just go, hey, ChatGPT, can you generate 16,000 words on how to blue light detox? Okay. What? The 300 most common vocabulary words, and the book is somehow 82,000 words long? Oh, okay. Hold on. Equals 82,000 divided by 300. So each one of these definitions has approximately a 273 word definition for every one of these words. Are you kidding me? So stupid. Okay. Don't do these. Especially at royalty share. How many people do you think are buying the 300 most common CDL vocabulary words? What even is CDL? Is that not the commercial driver's license? Who is this for? No one's going to buy this. You need to think, like, I know I'm being a little bit like mean, and I'm not meaning to be mean to the authors. Maybe that is a transcendent work of art. But you have to think, like, if you are trying to be an audiobook narrator or a voice actor, you are running a small business. And so you need to think like a business person. And so you need to think like, okay, what's the market for this audiobook if I'm doing royalty share? If I'm doing per finished hour, hell, I will read your vanity project that, 2 people are going to read. And some people are like genuinely like, yeah, I know only 2 people are going to read this, but one of those people likes to read physical books, and one of those people only listens to audiobooks. So that means I got to get an audiobook made. And to them, that is worth $2,000. So they'll pay my rate to read their however many hour-long book. Fine. Some people, that's their thing. But if it's royalty share, you have to think about like, all right, how big is this person's market? Like, what's going on here? These phrase books, short, simple travel books, exercise guides, diet guides, cookbooks, workout routines. I think I already said that. Meditation, daily affirmations. These are all kinds of things you want to avoid. 24 hours. Okay, I picked a project, I think, because which project was that? All right, I picked this project. We'll talk about that at the end. Okay, this is the most obvious. Like some poor dope is going to get picked up to do this project. And for a beginner, a 24-hour title. I have never done a title 24 hours long. The longest I've done is like 17 or 18 hours. But for a new narrator to do a 24-hour title, this will take months of work. Months with an S. This will take multiple months to complete. And I would be shocked if they ever saw more than $100 in royalties. Over the 7-year contract period that they're eligible for royalties, I would be shocked if in 7 years they made back $100 for their months of work. So, skip these. What we got here? Stuff like this. God, why is it so long? Why is it 9 hours long? You've got this AI slop image here. Some low-level Photoshop going on down here and here. So, like, this back here is the AI slop with the horrible AI, like, maybe that's, but like, obviously that's the Instagram logo, but it's been horribly warped and stretched, and we've got some weird cloning or smudge tool going on, something, a vague representation of, like, and they put their own sticker on there, tactics for creating a high-impact social media. Like, it's meant to look like a reader's choice or, some kind of judging ribbon or something. So yeah, lots of AI slop happening here. And is that like the suggestion of an apple? Anyway, let's count the fingers. Okay, it looks like we've got the normal amount of fingers, though this one's looking a little funny. This one might have gotten split at the end or something. Yeah, so this is slop. And generally, like, anything that sort of reeks of, like, manosphere, like, become an alpha business dog, like, any of that kind of slop, just don't do it, man. Don't do it. Yeah, God. No. Don't do it. All right. Here's the last one that I think is really an interesting case here, because this looks like it's probably a genuine title. Like, maybe it's not the most mind-blowing, but it does look like it is original art that was created just for this. Someone was either paid or they did it themselves. Like, maybe the rights holder did it themselves. Like, someone, like, potentially did some, like, modeling. Like 3D modeling. Maybe they've got some kind of asset creation studio or something. But this is a real cover that, someone somewhere might find appealing. And we've got a good proper title summary. We've got for RH, for rights, for RS, for royalty share, in the notes. So in per finished hour titles, for the notes for the rights holder, this is what you want to hear. Broad, like I said, content warnings, character direction, that kind of stuff. That's what you put here. For royalty share, this is where you put your marketing plan. This is you, the rights holder, selling me the talent on why you're a good gamble for me and my time. So that's what they give us. I will promote this audiobook on my online magazine, Allegory, with a link to it, which has a readership of more than 30,000 worldwide. I will also promote on Facebook, Instagram, and Blue Sky. That's exactly what you're supposed to do. Little short. Maybe you'll want to do some investigation on your own if you really want to do this. Look up the author and see, if this is true, see how many followers they have on Facebook, Instagram, and Blue Sky. They've already got 20 ratings on Amazon. Ooh, brief potential red flag. Thing's been out for 4 years. Could be a red flag, could be fine. Maybe they just, who knows? Keep that in mind. If something, you have to ask the question, like, why now? Why is this only just now? Maybe they've got a huge back catalog and like they're only just now starting to get them all made into audiobooks. Maybe. Who knows? My biggest caution for a newer narrator considering a project like this is the length. This is a long royalty share project. It's not that crazy 24-hour project, but 13 hours. That's a long project for royalty share. You got to have a really good, solid feeling that you're easily 80 hours of work. And again, it's impossible to put 40 hours of work in on audiobooks. It's, for most people, it's physically impossible. Your voice won't hold up for that. So that 80 hours of work is probably going to need to spread over 4 to 6 weeks, maybe longer, depending on your work and home schedule and everything. So between 4 to 6 weeks, decide if you want to tie up all of that work into one project that may or may not ever pay out, versus going and looking for 2 projects that are 6.5 hours. You're doubling your chances of one of them scoring, or at least recouping some value for your time spent. And that's 2 more books in your portfolio when people are scrolling going like, oh, look, there's 2 more books, versus, oh, look, there's 1 more book. Those are things to consider. If you're going to spend all that time, like, you want to get as many benefits out of it as you can, both monetary and those sort of like side, like meta benefits, to include the portfolio effect. So really keep that in mind. But maybe. Let's check out this email. We've got a Voice 123 audition. We will take a look at it. What do we got here? 30-second TV spot, fixed budget, which is fine. 3-month usage for TV though. Wait. Oh, okay, it's a political. Gotcha. Okay, so political's super important. You have to pick a side. There was a time where you could do both sides, but you can't now. If you're doing politicals, you have to pick a side. I have picked a side, and I believe strongly in it. So before doing any copy reading for this particular candidate, we're going to look. Okay, so Adrian O map, that should give us Plainfield. Okay. So we're just going to look here and figure out we don't want the official gov. We want something like this. We want maybe even that. Let's take a look here. Yada, yada, yada. Okay. So we've found some keywords that jive with us. So let's take a look here. Here's the script. This is what project. Now, I'm actually not going to read this because Ain't no way. Ain't no way they want a voice like mine. So this is obnoxious when talent buyers post stuff like this. Male adult, female adult. Which do you want? You know what you want. Like, for political campaigns, like, they get so granular with their booking. Like, yeah. And honestly, I mean, I was going to say, like, okay, then here's where you look up Plainfield, New Jersey. So here's where you look up the city, and then you look up the demographics and go, like, am I at all a match for this demographics? Like, 6% white. They don't want to hire me. Like, ain't no way you're gonna want to hire me. They want black or Latino talent, 100%. And on Voice 123, you can make that clear. And they just chose not to. So I'm gonna save myself getting dinged in the algorithm by not doing this. Not to say that it's impossible that they could want to hire white talent, but man, why would you in that community? Like, you want a voice that matches the audience that you're speaking to. Now, obviously, this copy is generic in the sense of, like, this copy speaks to everybody. This isn't racially, like, pointed copy or anything. But let's not be coy here. Like, you want a voice that represents, like, the people to whom you're speaking. And the people in Plainfield, New Jersey don't look like me, by and large. So why would you hire me? So yeah, we're gonna decline that. We're not gonna give them a nasty gram that it's the wrong matching. We're not gonna do that. We're just gonna decline without a reason. And now we've got an attack ad. This we might do. Here we go. Here's the other side. Still, it's for the same city. It's for the same town. Yeah. Obviously, attack ads, they're more fun. Richard Wyatt applauds huge tax increases. What would he do as mayor? Like, I get it. It's fun and everything. And here's the email for this. But again, this community doesn't need to hear this message from my voice. I think that the campaign would be better served by hearing this message from a voice that better represents the community. So we're going to decline this one for the same reason. Yeah. There you have the ability here, accents and ethnicities, you have the ability to be explicit about your desired talent demographics. And I don't know why they haven't done that here. But whatever. What are you going to do? Okay. Close that down. I think we've said all we need to say there. Yeah. You know, I know getting started on ACX is tough. It's a zoo. It's brutal. But you can do it. It can be done. You know, the same thing that's true in voiceover is true on ACX. The job is auditioning until it isn't, until you're too busy with booked work to audition anymore. With audiobooks, it took me a while to get to that point. But I treated that first couple of years like I treated it like, even while I was working on an audiobook, you know, if my pipeline wasn't 6 months long, while I was recording my audiobook, I would, every hour or so, I would alt tab over to ACX, I'd hit refresh, and if there was something worth auditioning for, I would drop everything I was doing, and audition for it right then. And now my pipeline is It's almost eternal. Like the recurring work that I'm getting from these authors who are very prolific, the recurring work kind of blocks up enough space on my calendar consistently that like I don't really audition anymore. And I've got enough of a body of work that like between referrals and agency stuff, and I'm on enough rosters with publishers that like I'm kind of in cruise control. You can get there. You can do it. But you're going to have to bust your ass for a while hitting refresh on ACX. Wish there was an easier answer, but there ain't. Okay, here's what we're going to do. I want to get a little bit of real audiobook work done, and we're going to do it right here on the stream. We're going to read the prologue of our next book. And to do this, we're going to do a couple of little minor tweaks here. I kind of want to set up a new bar rater window thing. Can I do this? Maybe I'll do that for next stream. But for now, yeah, I'll set up a bar rater tab to where I can have... Yeah. Okay, so here's what we're going to do. We're going to bring... Nope. Actually, we need to go Pro Tools full. Oh, actually, here's what we need to do. You're going to get to see the initial project setup. So let me open up our template. This should be the correct template. Yeah, let's go ahead and save. So initial project template setup. And I'll show you even my entire stack for mastering. But for the editing window here, this is my blank project template. Each of these tracks is a chapter, a file that I'm going to output. And so I just sort of like have this like, hey, we're going to have opening credits, introduction, prologue, chapters 1 through... I just stopped at 30 for the purposes of the template. I've done books with over 100 chapters before, and you just deal with that. Epilogue, closing credits. I use a weird like input bus setup. You probably don't need that. I have to do it for noise reasons that are obnoxious, but c'est la vie. Up here is an important and I think a pretty unique, to me, I don't know. Maybe it's unique. I haven't heard anyone talk about this. These are room tone. So as I pull this up, you'll see, in fact, I'll do the little vertical resolution. Oh, it's already at max. If you can see, if you can squint and look at the pixels, these are not perfect silence. There's waveform squigglies happening there. In fact, I'll boost one of these. There's audio there. Get that back down to 0. Basically, I hit record. I walked out of my booth, went inside, got a snack or something like that. But I let this microphone record the sound of this booth without any noise happening in it for a good 5 or 10 minutes. Then I came back and I selected a segment of this sound. And in fact, I'll let you... Hello? Thank you. You can see like how crazy big... That's me walking back into the booth there. But selecting a segment of that sound that's representative of the true quietness of the booth. And what I did was I chopped them up into pre-segmented lengths. I've got, this one is 0.75 seconds long. This one's 1.5 seconds. This one's 2 seconds. And this one's 2.5 seconds. And each of these has a different purpose in the context of when I'm narrating and editing an audiobook. The green one, and they're color-coded. The green one, it goes to the very start of the chapter. Before I say chapter 1, this little guy gets copy-pasted in. After that heading, that's where this guy goes. Chapter 1, boom, 1.5 seconds of silence. Any sort of middle of a chapter break where a point of view changes or whatever, anywhere where the author would put like a 3 asterisks and then a little gap, that's where this 2-second gap comes into place. And then very, very end of the chapter, that's your 2.5-second gap. I keep this one copied on my clipboard so that when I'm editing, obviously at the beginning of the chapter, these two are going to be right here, so I don't need to copy them. But this is the one that comes up in the middle of chapters, so this is the one I need to paste. And this one I just grab. It's all fine. Anyway, this is a huge time saver. It makes every single transition absolutely identical. Huge, huge time saver, and it makes everything super efficient and consistent. So here's what we're going to do. We're going to narrate a book. This will be, and I'm going to close down a couple of things on the tablet here because I'm going to narrate on the tablet. And I think what I'm going to do, yeah, this is what we're going to do. I'm going to keep Twitch chat visible for me. It's going to be annoying for me, but if anyone wants to chat on Twitch, I'll be able to see you, and I'll see you right away for damn sure. Yeah. Now, you are not going to be able to see the text as I narrate it. That's sort of the trade-off that this rights holder has offered. Like, hey, like, yeah, I'll approve you narrating on the live stream, but just don't like show the full text because that's like fully, I don't want to give away the perfect product either in text or in audio. Don't want to give that away for free. So let's see here. First of all, I've already created, this is my fancy schmancy like workbook. And I can see we've got opening credits, prologue into chapter 1. So I can get rid of this one that's labeled introduction. So opening credits, we'll label that. Prologue. And we also have an epilogue, right? We do have an epilogue, and we've got 32 chapters. So we're going to duplicate chapter 30. Duplicate 2 times. And we'll rename them both. Chapter 31. Hello, please, please, please. Chapter 32. All right. Opening, closing credits. We've got our blank channel for our 15-minute check. Our blank channel for our retail sample. That's all good to go. Oh, sorry. Oh. God. All right. Here's our mastering setup. Step 1. RX10, spectral denoise. I'm not going to hit learn because this has already been learnt. But this is the noise profile for my room tone. My reduction is only 6 dB. You don't want to do a million dB. Doing this would be an absolute disaster for your tone. It's just a 6 dB reduction. This is nice and gentle, but it does just make sure that I'm not having a noisy ass setup here. This is first pass of EQ and compression all together. The EQ is pretty gentle. It's only a 2.5 ratio. The EQ is super, super gentle. You see these things here, but hello, why is that scale that way? It's a very, very strange scale, but suffice to say, if we do this, there's the scale. These changes are like 1 dB. So it's a 1 dB boost at like 105 hertz, just to give me some bass, you know what I'm saying? And that's like a 1 dB cut at like 1.8K. Like, these are tiny, tiny boosts and cuts. I do have a low and a high pass filter on that are pretty aggressive, just because that is unimportant information. Mouth declick. This thing is the moneymaker. If you want to do this job seriously, you must purchase the RX suite. RX, the spectral denoise, not necessary if you've got a nice quiet space to work in. I do it just for 6 dB of peace of mind. This, however, is a non-negotiable. You must own mouth declick. You must. You cannot do this job without mouth declick. It's absolutely disgusting and brutal. Yeah, otherwise. DS. I, in particular, have a pretty nasty sibilance issue. That is one piece of feedback I have gotten from listeners. So I make, again, not a crazy reduction, 7 dB reduction, but it's enough that makes people happy. Another layer of compression and EQ. Again, these are really slight. They're very minor. And then finally, a limiter. This does these 2 layers of compression start gentle, move harder to a 4-to-1 compression, and then into a limiter. That just sort of like gentle, like you start gentle and move to harder and harder compression until you're full on at a limiter. And that basically, it's almost impossible for me to fail ACX specs. We'll try though. So that's it. That's the entire stack. Now for recording, I turn off all of the RX stuff because it's really processor intensive. And even though I've got a pretty beast machine, it does introduce some latency that I can hear as I'm trying to do punch and roll recording. And we don't want that. So we're going to go ahead and hit save as and save this as our new project. Bring us over here and we're going to save this in my audiobooks folder. Here we go. We're calling this 047 Shadow on the Moon is the title of the book, written by a fellow named John Sears. 47 Shadow on the Moon. This is book 11 or 12. I think it's book 12 of the series. Great series called The Lunar Free State. So we're going to be doing some, not dystopian, just like military sci-fi, what if type stuff. Some fun future chat. And we are going to start like properly with how I would record if we weren't on the stream. A couple of random little tools that I've got. So I've got one of these little Stream Deck things that I've got just a push button timer on it. I could use my phone, but I don't want this phone anywhere near the microphone because you start to get that the Morse code type stuff. So my phone is quite far away from anything that could generate some noise. And this little guy is a little push button that I just push to start the timer and push to stop the timer. Because, as you can see by my big workbook here, I am very meticulous about all of these are meant to track times down to the second of each chapter, how long it takes me to record, how long it takes me to edit, and how long the finished product was. That way, I can keep track of all my metrics and I know when I'm improving, when I'm sliding, whether I need to find some efficiencies here or there. Can't blame me. I got an MBA and this is the only thing I do with it. So one thing we have to do here, I'll go ahead and bring it off full screen here. We're going back into ACX. We're going back into books in production. We don't have it yet. Oh, okay. That's okay. We're going to go into completed and we're just going to take the copyright information from another book that we did. Produce. Oh, no. Where is about this title? Okay, so maybe we can't. Oh, I hate that. I hate the idea of starting recording the book and not recording the credits at the same time. All right, this sucks. So what we're going to do here, we're going to. Oh, that's so lame that I can't even see my own files there. Okay. Here's what we're going to do. We're going to listen to. Just to make sure I get the words right, I'm pretty sure I would just say, this is Shadow on the Moon, The Lunar Free State, Book 12, written by John E. Sears, narrated by Jimmy Moreland. I'm pretty sure that's all, but we're going to listen first to audiobooks here. Let's listen and see if this comes through on OBS. I'd be curious. Desktop audio. I don't think it will, but we'll listen to it anyway. Disloyal Opposition, The Lunar Free State, Book 11. Written by John E. Sears. Narrated by Jimmy Moreland. Disloyal Opposition, The Lunar Free State, Book 11. Written by John E. Sears. Narrated by Jimmy Moreland. Okay. Cool. So I was right. We're going to narrate that real quick. Check one. All right, we're good to go. Let's make it big. Here we go. Shadow on the Moon. The Lunar Free State. Books. I also don't like that. Hello. Thank you. Shadow on the Moon. The Lunar Free State book. I just read. That was. I'm so dumb. Disloyal Opposition. The Lunar Free State. Book 11. Written by John. Okay. Shadow on the Moon. Shadow on the Moon. The Lunar Free State. Book 12. Written by John E. Sears. Narrated by Jimmy Moreland. Okay. Here we can just go 8 seconds for the recording because I'm a little stinky cheat boy. 08. For the edit, we will go ahead and go. Boom, 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 boom. That's the edit done in 5 seconds. 5. And then just clean that up. Call that done. All right. We won't export that yet, but we're going to call that, oh God, 9.99. All right, we're going to cheat and say that's 10 seconds. Stuff that's not going to matter as soon as I record one full chapter here. So we're going to record the prologue here today. And the prologue is going to be, what is that, 5 pages? 5 pages, and I probably need to fix all these, but these are things that maybe we'll fix at a later time. But generally speaking, I think the prologue, I think it's going to be longer than 6 minutes. Yeah. Okay, so let's do this. Let's do that. I think the prologue is going to take us twice that. Let's take a look. Yeah, prologue is going to take us nearly 15 minutes to record, and that's okay. So we'll record the prologue, and then later off stream we'll probably record these first 2 chapters. But just it'd be fun on stream to record the prologue. Ooh, something we need to do here. Positron. We need to get this going because I want to show you the positron process. Are we gonna maybe? I don't want you seeing a password or something here. Okay, I think this is all fine. So we're gonna create a new project. 047 Shadow on the Moon. Now I have to grab the PDF, drop it in there. I've got noise detection disabled because it is way oversensitive. It's really not good. Create. I wanted to do this before I started recording because it takes it a while to process that PDF. So we're going to let it process the PDF. While it's doing that, we're going to record. So hydrate a little more. How long have I been yapping for? 2 hours 42. These guys right here, ice drops. They're dope. All the people out there, the old school advice for reducing mouth noise and tricking your body into thinking it's hydrated. Green apples. Keep green apples in the studio. Disgusting. Not that green apples are disgusting, but keeping slowly rotting produce in the booth, that's disgusting. My booth is in a detached garage up here in Maine. We got a lot of rodents out here. So I'm not going to give the mice and the voles and the chipmunks a buffet in my vocal booth. Thank you very much. So let's get to work, shall we? All right. I'm excited. Man, this book series, it's good stuff. All right, reset the timer and record. Here we go. Prologue. 15 January 2125. LFS Valkyrie in Xanadu orbit. Well, that's it. We're being recalled. Rear Admiral Lorna Greenwood II, Well, that's it. We're being recalled. Rear Admiral Lorna Greenwood II, CO of 2nd Fleet's. Just FYI, this is what the real job looks and sounds like. I'm going to be making mistakes constantly. So this is why the rights holders aren't really worried about people getting the audiobook for free by listening to this. Because if you were really, really, really trying to just get the story, it would be the most frustrating way to get the story possible. This is about the craft, not about the story. So watching the punch and roll process in real time, that's what this is about. But good luck if you actually want to hear the story. You can chop it together. Crazy person. All right, here we go. Well, that's it. We're being recalled. Rear Admiral Lorna Greenwood II, CO of 2nd Fleet's 2nd Battle Group, drummed her fingers on the desktop as she stared at the message on the screen. They're stripping Xanadu down to no more than a cruiser squadron. 7 months ago, a hyperprobe from Luna had brought the shocking news of Chief Executive Robert O'Hara's forced retirement and replacement by Marcus Carter, former Managing Director of the Lunar Commercial Fleet. Under the Constitution, the Directorate could appoint any LFS citizen to be CEO, but tradition called for the position to be filled by a senior military officer or senior executive of Terra Corp. Corporation. Technically, Carter was one of the latter, but his selection jumped him over a long list of flag officers and all of Terra Corp's executive committee. For Lorna, it had been a personal shock. She had known Carter since her earliest days as a fleet officer. She had known Carter since her earliest days as a fleet officer and had seen him fail miserably under fire on a critical mission to another star system. In the subsequent investigation, he had been charged with incompetence and cowardice in the face of the enemy. He had filed a critical mission to another star system. In the subsequent investigation, he had been charged with incompetence and cowardice in the face of the enemy. He had filed countercharges of mutiny against 2 other officers who had relieved him of duty. Somehow, all charges had been dismissed, and the investigation had been closed. Carter had been transferred from the Navy. Damn it, I didn't hit record again. All right, we're going to add 2 minutes to whatever time. And the investigation had been closed. Carter had been transferred from the Navy. Carter had been transferred from the Navy to the commercial fleet under the protection of powerful patrons in Terra Corp. Lorna had thought that was the end of it. Over the years, it had come to her attention that he had risen in the corporate ranks, but she thought nothing of it. Her Navy career was all that mattered to her. Her rise to flag rank had been meteoric. She was just 38 years old when she pinned on her 2nd star and assumed command of the battle group known as the Double Deuce. She'd held that command for 8 years, most of it She'd held that command for 8 years, most of it spent at Xanadu, watching over the development of the Lunar Free State's first colony in another star system. That assignment had now come to an end. Recalled! Commodore Jake Winfield, Valkyrie's... Having to remember Jake Winfield's voice. He was a... Okay. Do I have a note on him? No. I keep little sticky notes, like right here on my desk, for some major notes that like I absolutely need to not miss. But for this, no, we've got Jake. Where are we here? All right. Assignment had now come to an end. Recalled. Commodore Jake Winfield, Valkyrie's captain, gave her a quizzical look. You mean to Luna? Valkyrie's captain gave her a quizzical look. You mean to Luna? Are we finally going home? It appears so. We are directed to leave both heavy cruisers, 1 light cruiser, and 3 destroyers behind. My discretion on picking the CL and DDs. Jessica Guerrero, Lorna's chief of staff, took out her pad and called up a... Jessica Guerrero, Lorna's chief of staff, took out her pad and called up a... Jessica Guerrero, Lorna's chief of staff, took out her pad and called up a file. Took out her pad and called up a file. That would make Murphy the SO and... we need to fix that. So sometimes I will briefly break from doing proper punch and roll and briefly do a long roll. If there's a phrase that's just repeatedly tripping me up, I'll just quickly like rapid fire just to get that phrase down and move on. So that's what I've done here. And in those spots, I will do an edit on the spot. And I will actually go ahead and apply the crossfade so that later when I'm editing, as I'm tabbing through, I'll see this crossfade already there and I'll go, oh, I know I already did that edit. I can move on to the next edit without worry. Okay. Took out her pad and called up a file. That would make Murphy the SO and Highlander the flagship. If it's going to be a cruiser squadron, he rates a promotion. He has time and grade for Commodore. Promotion? Lorna lifted an eyebrow. When was the last time you heard of any promotions coming out of Luna? Well, Luna. Well, they did bump Eurasia Brown to 2-star when... coming out of Luna. Well, they did bump Eurasia Brown to 2-star when... Winfield paused as his comment drew... They did bump Eurasia Brown to 2-star... Or when... to 2-star when... Winfield paused as his comment drew a sharp look from Lorna. When they canceled John O'Hara's career, Lorna finished the sentence. Clearly a case of nepotism in reverse. He was a good officer. I have to believe his termination was collateral damage from the removal of his father. You did not hear that from me, however, she glared at them. Nor is that opinion to be shared with anyone in the group. There was silence for a moment, then Guerrero spoke again. So we're going back to Luna. What's our assignment when we get there? What's our assignment when we get there? Not a clue. Lorna shook her head. Orders say, report to Commanding Officer, 2nd Fleet. I'll guess we'll find out. Report to Commanding Officer, 2nd Fleet. I guess we'll find out when we get there. ... The ... Very important. Visually, I can see that ... from a mile away when I'm editing. I'm going to start the next recording from right in the middle of the ... And it's going to be super, super obvious when I'm editing what that is. And when I come across it, basically, let's just pretend that we're doing this real quick. ... ICV Mallorca. When I see this, when I'm editing, this exact thing, part of a ... and then silence on the other side of the edit, I know when I'm tabbing through and I get to this, I know I need to select the silence on either side and hit paste. Boom. There's our perfect 2 seconds of silence to where we go. I guess we'll find out when we get there. ICV Mallorca. And that represents the break in perspective, or the chapter break, or whatever you want to call it. It's not a new chapter. We're still in the prologue, but it's a new subheader, a new section that we're going into. So there's that spiel. Let's zoom back out a little bit. There. Dot, dot. ICV Mallorca, Blue Star Station, Titana Orbit. Dot, dot, dot. Do it on both sides. Dot, dot. Handsome devil. Handsome devil. Orbit. Dot, dot. Handsome devil. Lily Burry. Come on. Dot, dot. Handsome devil. Lily Maria Buxton. Dot, dot. Handsome devil. Lily Maria Buxton watched her passenger exit the... Come on. Dot, dot. Handsome devil. Something here is making noise. Let's do that. Dot, dot. Handsome devil. Lily Maria Buxton watched her passenger exit the boarding tube and walk toward the station entrance hatch. Dot, dot. Handsome devil. Lily Maria Buxton watched her passenger exit the boarding... Dot, dot. Handsome devil. Oh my God. Handsome devil. Lily Maria Buxton watched her passenger exit the boarding tube and walk toward the station entrance hatch. Why do all Mooney flag officers look like recruiting poster models? So, all right. I might need to do a little bit of accent refresh. I've done this character's accent hundreds of times, but it's an accent that I often need to refresh, and I'll show you the research and refresh process if we need to here. But this character is Spanish, specifically from the Canary Islands, but earlier books have described her accent as being sort of a generic Spanish. And occasionally she'll, like, her inner monologue will occasionally be in Spanish. And I speak a fair amount of Spanish. And so those parts are not a problem, but speaking with the Spanish accent versus what I'm more used to hearing growing up in Texas, a little bit difficult. So we might actually go ahead and we're going to open up YouTube. I've got a lot of different resources that I use. Let's see here, Spanish ambassador interview. When you're researching an accent, a good step. This Pierce Brosnan guy. A good step, if you don't have like a celebrity or an athlete or someone like that in mind who's got a lot of interviews, look for the ambassador of that country to some other country. Just so, in this case, if you look up Spanish ambassador interview, bunch of videos come up, and the person whose voice immediately, for me, helps me like get the consonants correct is this guy. Look at this handsome devil.
Maidan times. I've been posted to Vienna and here in Kazakhstan, Tajikistan, and Kyrgyzstan.
And what has been...
I've been posted to Africa, to Mozambique, very close to South Africa, and to Swaziland. I've been posted also to Ukraine some years ago during Maidan times. I've been posted to Vienna, and it is difficult to say, but I'm having very extremely fantastic time here in Kazakhstan.
Okay. I think I've got it. You know, if I wasn't on the stream, I might play a little bit more, but c'est la vie. Toward the station entrance hatch. Why do all Mooney flag officers look like recruiting... Tube and walk toward the station entrance hatch. Why do all Mooney flag officers look like recruiting poster models? Her passenger wore casual clothing such as might be seen on a spring day in any civilized nation on Earth. Nothing about his dress hinted at military service, but Buxton knew better. She had met him near... service, but Buxton knew better. She had met him years earlier in another... service, but Buxton knew better. She had met him years earlier in another star system. On that occasion, he'd been wearing the uniform of a rear admiral in the LFS service. Him years earlier in another star system. On that occasion, he'd been wearing the uniform of a rear admiral in the LFS Navy, with a rather impressive rack of decorations on his chest. Majorca was a medium-sized cargo hauler that produced a comfortable living for Buxton and her all-female crew. Come on. Rack of decorations on his chest. Majorca was a medium-sized cargo hauler that produced a comfortable living for Buxton and her all-female crew, plying the interstellar trade routes for Buxton and her all-female crew, plying the interstellar routes between Sol and Odin, Rothstein, or Sacagawea. She did not normally carry passengers and was not equipped Rothstein or Sacagawea. She did not normally carry passengers and was not equipped to do so. This time, however, Buxton had made an exception. She had given her own cabin to him and had bunked. Let's fix that spot here. I just knew that collection of consonants was going to give me a lot of trouble, and so I think this is it. Normally carry passengers and was not equipped to do so. Maybe here. Normally carry passengers and was not equipped to do so. That's fine, right? Carry passengers and was not equipped to do so. This time, however, Buxton had made an Cool. All right. Hit record again. This time, however, Buxton had made an exception. Where am I? Here we go. This time, however, Buxton had made an exception. She had given her own cabin to him and had bunked with her navigator, Sarah Hurley, for the duration of the trip. It was her kind of It was her kind of charter, an officer. Sarah Hurley for the duration of the trip. It was her kind of charter, an officer. Oh my God. Hurley for the duration of the trip. It was her kind of charter, an offer she couldn't refuse. Take aboard a Mr. John Smith and transport him to Sacagawea. Ask no questions, tell no one. Deliver him Smith and transport him to Sacagawea. Ask no questions, tell no one. Deliver him directly to Blue Star Station. The request had come through her LFS Naval Intelligence contact, Jolene Drew, with a very large offer of compensation attached. To sweeten the pot, Drew had thrown in a regular TerraCorp shipment of cargo bound for Titana at the standard rate. Though she had recognized John Smith on sight, she had given no hint that she knew him, nor had he mentioned it. He had dined with her and the crew, but had otherwise kept that she knew him, nor had he mentioned it. He had dined with her and the crew, but had otherwise kept to his cabin for the duration of the 20. She knew him, nor had he mentioned it. He had dined with her and the crew, but had otherwise kept to his cabin for the duration of the 26-day trip. He had told them nothing about himself for the duration of the 26-day trip. He had told them nothing about himself, and her girls had sense enough not the duration of the 26-day trip. He had told them nothing about himself, and her girls had sense enough not to ask him. Come on. The duration of the 26-day trip. He had told them nothing about himself, and her girls had sense enough not to ask. It was done. Contract fulfilled, money in her account. She wished him well. Let's fix that. About himself, and her girls had told them nothing about himself, and her girls had cool. Contract fulfilled, money in her account. Contract fulfilled, money in her account. She wished him well wherever he contract fulfilled, money in her account. She wished him well wherever he was bound. As for Buxton and her crew, Titana was a good liberty port. Come on. Contract fulfilled, money in her account. She wished him well wherever he was bound. As for Buxton and her crew, Titana was a good liberty port, so she would stand down for a few days, then start looking for a cargo to haul back to Sol. There we go. And that's the prologue done. As far as time actually running, we're going to call that 12:47. Let's take a look here. We're here. Recorded length is 12:47. And now we're going to edit this really quick. Check out. Yes. Oh my god. One of the cats stole some of my chicken. Cheeky little bugger. I love it. All right. So, repeatability of process. For consistency, for efficiency, for being able to quickly move through things. A really simple piece of that puzzle for me, let me fix my hair, is basically recording and editing each one at the same resolution. And what I mean by that is the level of zoom that I've got. So if you look at the ruler up here up top, if you can see that, the ruler is in 1 second increments. If I zoom in any further, it goes into half-second increments. I know that the 1 second increment is where my brain, my eyes, everything is used to seeing while I'm recording. While I'm editing, I zoom in 2 ticks. Half second, fifth of a second. So it's 0.2 seconds every tick of the ruler. And that is zoomed in enough to where I can make surgical edits, but it's not so zoomed in that I get lost in the sauce. So there you go. That's a little something for you. So I have recorded my 1047 or 1247 rather on the length here. So I'm going to reset my timer. I always make the first cut before I hit start. Save. Copy the 2-second one. And I'm going to do some alt dragging. Just like in like Microsoft Word and Google Sheets, a lot of things, in Photoshop and stuff, you can hold alt and click and drag a clip, and it will be as though you have copied and pasted that clip. But it doesn't remove what's on your clipboard. So I'll be able to do stuff like this. Boom. I'm moving these pre-portioned sets of room tone into place. So you'll see how fast this moves in Xanadu orbit. Well, yeah, here we go. Let's see how fast this moves. I'm going to start the timer. Delete this. Make a cut here. Make a cut here. Make a cut here. That last cut gets the yellow. The other cuts get the green. 1, 2, 3. Now I start tabbing. And I clean up every transition after I hit tab. Now, tab in Pro Tools basically just jumps my cursor forward to the next edit point. Anytime there's been a cut, we're actually going to delete that little mouth noise there. Anytime there has been a cut, we're actually going to listen. From the Navy to the commercial fleet under the protection of... yeah, any cut, it jumps forward to that. And I'm only listening if there's something like truly funky going on in the waveform that isn't like obvious, like, hey, this is what's going on there. Got to delete those little mouth noises. This crossfade is already there, so I know that was one of those edits that I did while I was recording. Ooh, this is ugly. This we'll have to listen to. If it's going to be a cruiser squadron, he rates a promotion. Let's keep the breath in there. This kind of sucks. Let's listen. Cruiser squadron, he rates a promotion. He has time and grade for Commodore. Cruiser squadron, he rates a promotion. It's a little awkward, but it's better than trying to be super surgical and getting a weird consonant out of it. I'd rather have an imperfect breath performance than a truly wonky pronunciation of something that just makes the whole sentence flow off. You'll see there, I just saw those dots and like my brain on autopilot. I didn't have to go, hold on now, what do I do here? I just selected the silence around them and I hit paste. That's it. Easy peasy. There we got a crossfade, so I know that's an edit that had been made during the recording. And basically, I'm just like, yeah, just cleaning up these edges, man. Just zoom. Zoom. That's another edit that's been made there. And there we go. I paste that, then I drag in that. There we go. That was 2 minutes, 40 seconds to edit a nearly 6-minute chapter. Which is actually a little slow for me. But we're yapping, that's why. We're going to bounce this out. Actually, we're going to save first, then bounce it out. And we're calling this 002 underscore prologue. And where is this bouncing to? Oh, 47. Shadow on the moon. Here we go. Bounce. Okay. And now we go over here into Positron. We open up this project. Okay, it has processed the script as far as this goes. And now we go into the audiobook. Grab the MP3 and we drop it here. And I think that's probably where we're gonna, we'll see how fast this thing. Oh, let's mark down our times here. The edit time on that was 000240 and the chapter time was 0552. Here we go. For the total ratio of 2.63. 2.63 is my ratio on that particular very short chapter. 2.63 is not great. My average is much closer to 2.3, but you know what? We were yapping. I blame it on you. So let's see. Yeah, I think we'll probably wrap this here. So, good stream. Been a while. We did some voiceover auditions. We talked a bunch of shit. That was great. And we did a little bit of audiobook work. We've got a whole lot more to do tonight and in the coming days. Got some travel coming up here, and a full schedule of audiobook and other work here. So just chugging along here. But I hope that you learned somewhat. If you're watching this in the future, howdy. Whether you're on YouTube or watching the Twitch VOD for whatever reason, feel free to leave a comment. I get a notification and I will respond to comments even if they're far in the future. Actually, you know what? It processed that really fast. Let's show you what the positron proofing process looks like. Okay, so I dropped in the prologue. It processed it really, really quick. Basically what positron is doing, it's doing the job of a human proofer. Hashtag they took her jobs. It's taking the MP3 and it's listening to that audio and it's comparing it against the script that I uploaded. And it's basically anytime where there's a deviation between what I said and what is written in the script, it flags that. Now, I still have to go and double check positron's work because a lot of false positives get kicked out. But let's see. It says it detected 5 errors. Let's see what those 5 errors look like. One is always a gimme. It's just like make sure that the start of your chapter is actually the start where you wanted it to start. Okay, yeah, always that's a check. It has a hard time with the formatting of the first 3 lines of any chapter. So this at least the way that this particular audiobook is formatted. Not to say that this is the fault of the rights holder or author. It might be just the way that I always like reformat things when authors send me the manuscript. So it could be my fault. But this, I'm going to say, nah, it's fine. Here, I see Admiral Lorna Greenwood II, where here it's just I. Obviously saying the second is the correct thing to read there, so this is okay. Here it says I missed the word to. Oh, this is a typo. So we can actually, great feature. While I have the error clicked over here, you can see, I don't think am I covering that? No. It's a little bit sort of smushed, zoomed in, but whatever. You can see that this little box is highlighted versus this. While this is highlighted, I can press space and it'll play the context. Tell no one. Deliver him directly to Blue Star Station. So I missed the first word to. My brain just automatically corrected that typo. Because the actual words are deliver him directly to Blue Star Station. That's obviously not right. That is a typo. So we're going to mark that as a typo. And now it's saying make sure that the end of the chapter is actually the end of the chapter. And it is. So I'm going to hit OK on that. And hey, that's 0 errors. But I do want to make sure that I go in, because I hadn't marked that before. Let's go back to it. Where was that? It's like 3 paragraphs down. Deliver him directly to... Come on. There it is. There we go. So on my tablet that I read from, it's a jailbroken Kindle Fire, if you're curious. That's where I mark anything that could potentially be a typo or a mistake or whatever it might be. And when I deliver the final audiobook, I put together like a Google Doc of all the things that I found for the author / rights holder to review and decide what they want to do with them. It's not up to me to change the book. In most cases, I'm going to read exactly what's written, but if it's something like this, obviously. If it's something that's less obvious, I might just go ahead and just send the client an email and be like, hey, are we sure about this? Whatever. Cool. So that's it. That's a whole... How much of this book have I just now finished? Let's see here. We'll call it 6 minutes out of what is going to be a 13-hour book. 13 and change. So 13 hours to go. That's all right. So I hope you've enjoyed. I hope you've learned something. If you did, let me know in the comments. Like I said, I get a notification. So even if it's on an old video and you checked it out and you're like, what the hell is he doing here? What's this thing? Why do you do that? Why do you do it that way? You idiot. Let me know. And I'll respond. I'll respond to the YouTube comments, even if the video is old and crusty. But yeah, I am Jimmy Moreland. If you would like to pay me to read things for you, whether it's commercial VO or an industrial explainer or your brand anthem video or whatever you got, head over to veteranaudio.com. I also now own jimmymoreland.com, and I think that just redirects. I think that all works right. But whatever you want, yeah, head over there, shoot me a message, and we can chat. I always like talking gear, but if you want to talk business, I'm down for that as well. So I hope you have enjoyed, and I hope that you have a lovely rest of your week. When's the next time I'll do this? I don't know. I just don't know. It may be a while. I'll be out of town for a few days here, and I'll just be I'll have my head down really focusing on this audiobook work. But until then, hope you have a great one, and good luck on your auditions. Break a leg, my friends. Cheers.